What's up? Welcome to Two Brothers Comics. It is the Friday night live stream. We're going to do something a little off the cuff tonight. We're going to talk about something that everybody loves. We're going to be doing a little wrestling talk tonight. We're going to talk a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of comics, and a little bit of wrestling comics. So stay tuned. All right. So like I said, tonight we're going to do a little bit of wrestling talk. Yes, I'm from Georgia, so it ain't wrestling, it's wrestling. And I'm going to bring on a couple of guys that are joining me tonight. You guys see him on our channel regularly. He's almost the third brother at this point. Mr. Justin Birch. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. How about you?
All right. All right. And I have another special guest, and I'm really, really pumped about having this guy on here. He's not only going to be able to talk about things he likes about watching wrestling, he might be able to talk about some of the experiences. We got Mr. First Edition with us tonight. What's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas? Doing good. How about you?
All right, all right, all right. So Justin, you're from up north.
I am.
Now you've always been up north, right?
Yes.
So how do you pronounce the word?
Wrestling.
Wrestling. What about you, Paul?
Wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always been wrestling. I'm in Georgia, so it's always been wrestling here. I don't know, man. I catch myself sometimes saying it both ways, but I mean, I sometimes when I'm not thinking about it, I'll WRASTLIN apostrophe, so. But so yeah, I know guys, we're a comic book channel, but I've found ways to kind of weasel it in. As you guys can see, I've changed the setup a little bit here. Got a little wrestling comics back here. Got some wrestling comics here. Mixed in some figures and some Funkos for Justin. So I found a way to make it kind of work for the channel. I'd like to thank my brother for allowing this to happen, because you guys know, gotta okay it by the big dog. He's actually the little dog because I'm the big brother, but you guys know who runs this. I mean, I'm not even going to try to front. So I would love to be able to do this regularly, because I don't know about you guys. I mean, I could go at an hour minimum every single day for a year and never talk about the same thing and still wouldn't hit everything. I mean,
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and we've got some things that we are going to kind of hit tonight. But I was just sitting around today trying to think, like, what are some cool topics we could talk about? And I'm sitting there, we could talk about this or we could talk about that. And I'm like, man, I got a 6-hour live stream going now, so we're gonna have to chop it down and try to see if I can get Nick to let us do a couple of other ones. So, but yeah, so let's talk about when we became fans of wrestling. As far as if you remember the age you were, or the decade, time frame, whatever it was. Justin, when do you remember becoming a wrestling fan?
It was sometime between WrestleMania 14 and WrestleMania 15. I think it was closer towards 15 than 14. I just remember watching it every week, getting into it when Stone Cold was chasing for the belt, was trying to get the belt back.
Okay. What about you, man? What about you, Paul?
Mine's just late 80s, early 90s, man. I had to be like 5 or 6 years old, and my grandpa, he watched wrestling all the time on TV. So I was always watching, WCW or Jim Crockett stuff at that time, and just going to visit him on the weekends. We'd get up on Saturdays and we'd watch it on Saturdays, and that's kind of my earliest memory of it. Awesome. My grandma would actually sit down and watch it with us too, which always kind of shocked me, because it's not something that she would get into, but she'd be screaming and hollering worse than my grandpa would.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to check the chat and shout out everybody in the chat. So I'm going to do that real quick. Got my man Ryan. You guys know him on YouTube as Comics and Death Metal. Mr. Josh Olive. He is the man behind Haven Comics, our local comic shop. We've got Chris. What's up? Adrian the Panda. What's going on? My brother, the Captain. We've got Seawood. What's up, man? Will, what's going on? Let's see. Says he's digging that. Oops, hold on. Chat jumped on me. So Will says, yeah, he's digging that IC title cover back there. Yeah, I love that thing, man. When I found it, I was so pumped about it.
Yeah, it's really dope.
And here's Ryan here. He's got the Facebook and the YouTube going, man, crazy. So for me, and I think we're all probably, I don't know, you guys are probably closer in age than I am to either one of you. I was born in 89, so.
I was born 85.
Okay.
Oh, I'm the old one. I was born in 83. Okay.
So we're all 80s babies though, right?
Yeah,
I'm a 90s kid, but I'm an 80s baby.
Right.
So my first, I think I had to have been like 6 or 7. And when I really started to fall in love with wrestling, and I remember the big guys at the time, Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold, coming into WrestleMania 14. Like that's my first memories. And we'll touch on that in a second. But the biggest thing for me, I think, even more than watching wrestling, was getting the figures and having a ring. And I would literally sit on the floor and have my own pay-per-views and Raws, and I would Jim Ross the hell out of these matches that I'm having, to the point where my mom is just sitting out laughing at me, and I wouldn't let anybody play with me. I got so good at using one wrestler in each hand, and I could use fingers to move legs, arms, and everything. I mean, I took it seriously. And if Nick wanted to play with me, or my cousin came over, wanted to play, and they tried to make them fly around, I'm like, hey, these ain't superheroes. All right. These are real people. They don't do all that. All right. If you can't play right, put my stuff down and leave. So,
right.
So I was probably, like I said, I think I had to have been like 6 or 7 when I really fell in love with wrestling and became a fan. What are some of you guys' earliest memories? Like the first, like the one thing that sticks out, like as far back as you can remember, as far as it goes.
Mine would just be I had to go to like a live event. They had like a little like house show near my town where I grew up at. My papa took me to that, and it was like a bunch of old wrestlers there. And Wahoo was still wrestling at that time, and he was up in age at that point. And so my earliest memory of that is, I'm Native American, and so it was a Native American town, and Wahoo's there, so they're promoting him like crazy. And so the main event is Ric Flair versus Wahoo. And so 2 minutes into the match, Wahoo's bleeding like a stuck pig because Flair's beating the crap out of him. And it turned into a crazy event with people rushing the ring and everything else. So that was kind of one of my earliest memories.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I don't think I know. It's not that I don't think I know. I did not go to a live event until my senior year in high school, and they had Backlash here in Atlanta. And I begged my parents, like, hey, I'm working part-time. I will buy me, Nick, and Dad a ticket if we can go. Please let us go. It was Shawn Michaels, John Cena, and Edge for the heavyweight championship in one match, for like the WWE championship, and then Undertaker versus Batista for the world heavyweight championship in a last man standing match. And that was when Batista speared him off of the stage, and everything kind of blew up. I mean, it was huge for me to get to go to that. And then I got my wife to go with me a couple more times to some Raws. But that's awesome, man. You got to see something, back then that early. That's awesome. What about you, Justin?
I couldn't tell you what my earliest memory is. Unfortunately, it all just kind of runs together. I'm trying to think of. I definitely remember stuff after WrestleMania 15, and I remember stuff leading up to it, but it's kind of hazy before that.
Yeah. So, and I meant, I can definitely, understand what you're saying, because I mean, it's just there's so much happening, and it was just so jam packed back then. It's hard to sometimes remember, like, how early stuff happened. I mean, there was so much going on. I think probably my earliest memory, and I don't know why it sticks. Well, I kind of do know why it sticks out, and I had the picture, man. I was going to upload the picture and pull it up on the screen, and I forgot to load that picture up. But I don't know if you guys will remember, leading up to WrestleMania 14, they did this thing in Boston, and they had a ring outside. It was in the middle of the daytime. It was almost like a press conference thing. And everybody was coming out to the ring, cutting promos. And this was when the Shawn Michaels battery incident happened. But DX is out there, and they get Austin tied up in the ropes, and he's got both his arms pinned up in the ropes, and they got Tyson out there. And I mean, they're just
it's all in his face.
Yeah, all in his face. And his, like, to me as a kid, I'm like, what in the heck are they doing to this guy? Like, how is this being allowed? Why are the cops not jumping in here, And you see Shawn Michaels and Mike Tyson just plant one on him just to antagonize him even more. And at that moment, I did not hate anybody on the planet more than I hated Shawn Michaels at that point. I mean, and at this point, I didn't even know who Shawn Michaels was. I didn't know who Stone Cold was. I didn't know who Mike Tyson was. But I knew I hated that dude, because I was just like, he's just an absolute jerk off, man. Like, why would you do that? So that's probably my earliest memory. And I don't know why that sticks out, other than the fact that I think at that point, like, the reality of the fact that this is scripted, was not even a thing in my head. Like, to me, it was so real at that point. Right. And I'm just like, they've got this guy helpless, just tied up in the ropes here, and nobody's coming in to help the guy. There's 4 other dudes in the ring, and y'all are just letting this happen. So now you'll learn later on as the night goes, my opinion on Shawn Michaels changed immensely. But yeah, that you had a really good one though, man. Being a live event, and the fact that you used to watch with your grandparents. That's awesome, man. I know my great granddad, he used to tape all the events. Like, he would tape Saturday morning WCW and all this stuff, and I ended up getting, he passed away, and all those tapes made it to my house. So I'd sit and watch all these old tapes. Like, awesome, dude. It was so cool. I remember the first time I saw a tape and Giant Gonzalez popped on there. And I mean, he scared the piss out of me. I was like, this dude, this big, humongous monkey man dude is just crazy looking. I mean, that dude was a monster. He couldn't move, but he was a monster.
Yeah.
I see people talking about Flair, Road Warrior, Sting, WrestleMania 5. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think at some point, as a red-blooded American human being, especially for little boys, like, we all had to love wrestling at some point. Like, I don't know anybody that I've talked to that said, I've never watched wrestling my entire life. Like, I don't, maybe now, but if you grew up anytime in the 80s and the 90s, like, you watched wrestling,
yeah.
So you couldn't help but not know who some of these guys were. I mean, these guys were on the freaking TV guides, all that stuff. I remember having all the TV guides with the WCW guys, the WWF guys, all that. It was awesome. So let's talk about some of our favorites. I wanted to start out with some of the lower tier stuff before we jump into the big guns. So I thought a tag team would be a fun thing to discuss first. So whichever one of you guys wants to go, who's your favorite tag team of all time?
Mine's not going to be original. I'm definitely going with New Age Outlaws. I mean, you're going to learn that a lot of my picks are definitely like Attitude Era based stuff, because that's when I started watching. That's when I watched every week, and not just, recap 10-minute YouTube recaps.
So it has nothing to do with the fact that one of your star co-hosts just happens to dump dog every other Friday night, right?
That has nothing to do with it.
If you like the Attitude Era, why didn't you go with Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie?
that was before I started watching, though.
Okay.
I tell you what, though, Chainsaw and Cactus and the Outlaws had some hellacious matches, man.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, like I'm sitting here kind of getting a little bit thinking about as a kid sitting there watching the Outlaws dump these old men. Well, Chainsaw was old, so in my mind, I thought Cactus was old too, but the dude was actually in his 20s, dumping them off of the stage in a dumpster. Now, I had no idea at the time until probably 15, 20 years later that there was like padding and stuff in that dumpster, but I'm just sitting there like, again, how is this allowed to happen? People are inside this thing and they are now dead.
I think I spoke too soon. I also like Edge and Christian. Dang it.
Okay.
That's a really good tag team.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so hard to pick just one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's so many good ones.
It is. It is.
Yeah, Steiners are definitely for mine. I love the work of the Steiners in WCW just because it's like you got bigger guys that can move. They can. Yeah. I mean, look at Scott Steiner, as big as he was doing Frankensteiners and stuff to people. It's just the agility of them, and they could work just about with anybody and get over like so well.
Oh yeah, and they had awesome music. Steiner, man, I loved it. So I'm seeing here the Rockers and the Road Warriors, the British Bulldogs, the Kabuki Warriors, Road Warriors. Got another Steiner's guy in here. So yeah, a lot of people Road Warriors fans.
Yeah.
And I got mine ready here, and you shouldn't be surprised, but I mean, if you didn't know, it's obviously
right.
Those were my guys, man. I loved them, man. Road Dogg was my dude. He could come in there and pick up the stick and out-talk anybody. It didn't matter if you were Stone Cold Steve Austin or some freaking, guy from down the road that's just on there to job to somebody. He'd talk to you the same exact way, and there wasn't a whole lot anybody could do to stop him or to counter him. And I was listening to an interview with Billy Gunn yesterday, and it was funny. He was talking about going into the Hall of Fame, and he said, they were kind of talking about what he did. He's like, yeah, I mean, all you have to do to get in the Hall of Fame is pull your pants down and show your ass and say, suck it. That's all I did my entire career, and it was kind of a joke, but I mean, the guy was at the time, he had to have been probably one of the, if not the best athletes that was doing it. I mean, the guy could do anything. And the fact that he was hitched to DX and Road Dogg, I think, it's hard to think because, you kind of play devil's advocate. It's like at that time, if he had been a singles competitor, he probably kind of would have got lost in the wash. So I think, the fact that he was a tag team guy with Road Dogg, that enabled them to elevate to that level. But I mean, he could hang with anybody. I mean, absolutely could hang with anybody.
He was a good tag team wrestler too. Just being in the Smoking Guns before Bart Gunn, and they were really good. And he stood out a lot more than Bart, and so that's kind of why they eventually let him go on his own way. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Did you watch the Did either one of you guys watch? And I can't remember the name of it. It's a YouTube series.
Dark Side of the Ring. Yeah,
Dark Side of the Ring, and they talked about the Brawl for All. Man, I had no idea until I watched that the whole thing was it was a bunch of shoot fights. I had no idea. Yeah, and I was like, that's wild, man. Like they really let these guys go out there and do that, and the fact that Bart was the one that came out on top, like nobody expected that. I mean, the way that everybody was talking about, the Godfather, he's one of the toughest dudes out there. So everybody had their money in his hat, but yeah, I mean, the Outlaws, I mean, those guys, I mean, all the way up until 5-6 years ago, they came back and had a run with the titles, and they were just as good. I mean, it's crazy. And now both of them have, back office jobs. Billy's working in AEW, and Road Dogg's a big timer up at WWE now. But the guys just every time they always drew a huge pop every time that music hit. I mean, you knew who it was, and everybody was on the
right.
It didn't matter if they were heels, baby face. It didn't matter. Everybody loved them, and I was definitely in love with that theme song forever. I mean, I can't. There's no telling how many times we've ran around the house, hollering that. It was just the thing to do.
Now it's funny back then too, like in the Attitude Era, like I used to buy the wrestling CDs with all the theme songs on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my buddies had it. We played that stuff all the time, man. That was just so awesome to have back then.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see what some of these other guys are saying here. I'm seeing. Let's go back up a little bit. Oh, Dudley's. That was one we didn't talk about. They were really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ooh, old school. Ollie and Jean.
Oh wow, yeah, that is old school.
If it wasn't for the DX, the New Age Outlaws both would have been lost, which would have been a shame. I don't know, because they were really getting over right before. See, they were getting over before DX, and that's why when Shawn left and Triple H had to, he was going to continue DX. He was looking for people to bring in, like the fact that those guys were over like they were. That was one of the things that made him bring them in. Who knows if they would have got to the heights that they did. I think they probably still could have, because it would have been the same guys, just in a different T-shirt. I mean, to me, they made DX. If they weren't in DX, I don't think DX would have been able to continue on to the heights that it did. That's my opinion.
No, I think they were the core of it for sure. Yeah. Triple H was still trying to figure himself out. China wasn't a mouthpiece at all. She just stood in the background. And, X-Pac came later when he left WCW and came back. And so he was at the tail end of it. So, yeah, I think they pretty much were the group for a long time. So.
And to me, go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to ask a question, but it kind of changes the subject. So I'll hold on to it for now.
Oh, I was just going to say, I liked X-Pac, but I felt like he had the volume turned so far up sometimes that he didn't really mesh sometimes with those guys, where he was just running around screaming all the time. That's all he did was scream on top of his lungs. It's like, but I mean, the dude was an athlete. He had great ring work. I enjoyed watching him. That spinning heel kick, that thing was a mother, boy. I always used to love watching him hit that thing, because you knew he was about to take somebody's head off.
Yep.
Let's see, D'Lo and Mark Henry. So the Nation guys, yeah, man, Nation of Domination. That was a big deal too. All right, Justin, what was you going to bring up, man?
I was going to ask if you had seen any other episodes of Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh, dude, I've watched them all.
Yeah, I watched them all too.
There's been something come out in the last month, I've watched them all. And
I'm trying to think what was the last episode? Dino Bravo. There was one after Dino Bravo, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was the guy that slapped the reporter. Dr. David Schultz. Yeah, David Schultz.
Okay, so I missed those two then.
It's really good.
Which one did you guys enjoy the most?
Me, the Benoit one, because Benoit was such a core element of my wrestling memory, and such a just great talent to be able to hear some of the things we didn't know, because there was so much never really released about it leading up to it when it happened. It was good to hear like people close to the situation talk a little bit more about it, instead of hearing just media jargon all around it. So
yeah,
I think I enjoyed that the most, because there were just things in there that I didn't realize leading up from Eddie's death to the whole thing. So
yeah, that one was. I'm glad they dedicated 2 episodes to it.
Yeah.
It was really heavy. Like I just remember after watching that, just feeling for Benoit's son. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
The one who's still alive, and then Benoit's sister-in-law. I just I just felt for them. I was shocked by when they interviewed the first responding officer on scene. Like I was not expecting that at all. That was kind of chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. That one was a good one, and I remember that happening. I remember sitting in my bedroom and my mom telling me it was on the news because I mean he didn't live far from me.
I say, yeah, that's down in your area.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys live down here, and a lot of them still do. But yeah, he didn't live far from me, so like that was crazy to me. And you know, at the time that we heard about it, all we knew is that he had died. You know, I didn't even hear about his son and his wife, and then you know, a couple of days later, you hear about the whole story. It's like, oh my god, man, like that's just insane. I think probably my favorite episode would be a tie. And it would be a tie between the which I have watched everything, read everything, heard everything on the Montreal Screwjob, but I mean that one I really enjoyed, and I don't know why because I never watched the guy, but the New Jack episode, you know, the only things I've ever seen of New Jack is just YouTube clips and stuff. I never watched anything. ECW was something I never watched. I don't even know if I had the channel. I know it came on later than I was able to stay up, but I'd always heard about New Jack, and you know, watching that, like that dude should have been in prison for some of the stuff he did in those matches. I mean, he stabbed a guy like 19 times in a match and just walked away from it. That was just crazy. You know, you guys seen the video of him beating that old man in the back of the head with a baseball bat?
Gypsy Joe, yeah, man, that guy wrestled till he was like 80 something.
Yeah,
he's passed away now, but yeah.
I mean, the sound off of that bat hitting that guy in the back of the head, I was like, golly, like I thought Mick Foley was tough. This dude just took like 8 hits to the back of the head from a grown man. I mean, God, man, that was wild.
The whole New Jack episode was a little disturbing. Like I think my favorite part is when they're replaying the clip for D'Lo, and and D'Lo's like, oh, what's gonna happen? And you just see him kind of, you know, and you're like, okay, he thinks it's bad. It must be really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy right there, man, definitely a guy that would never ever have made it, or well, he didn't make it, but you can see why he never made it to the big stage, because Vince McMahon would have never let some stuff like that fly on TV. I don't even think in the Attitude Era he would have let that stuff go.
Nah, not that far.
And to give that guy a live mic on live TV, like I don't know about that. But all right, so let's jump back in. Another favorite. Jump over to well, I guess both federations had some. So favorite cruiserweight or lightweight?
I'm going to be cheap and take the easy one. I'm definitely picking Rey Mysterio.
I knew you were going to say that.
I was going to say the same thing too, but mine specific era of Rey Mysterio. I only like WCW Rey Mysterio.
Yeah,
because the matches Rey had in WWE is when he tried to bulk up and look bigger because he wanted a bigger push. Like the matches he had in WCW though were just insane.
Oh yeah.
The matches he had with Hoovy were just
Psychosis and Hoovy. Yeah.
The Hoovy matches were just insane. His feud with Jericho was really good, but I hate that Bischoff did the whole unmasking thing and forced him to do that when they didn't want to do that, and that's not how it works down in wrestling in Mexico. So that was kind of messed up. But you know, he always had the coolest costumes, you know, on his design in WCW too, because he had a Spider-Man one time. Because I remember getting the WCW versus NWO Revenge game on 64, and one of the costumes was that too. So, and I think he had like a Superman version of it, but it was different colors, like Super Ray. But yeah, WCW Ray to me was awesome. WWF, WWE, I didn't really care for him in there.
Yeah. I think my favorite Ray costume was the one where he was like the Aztec warrior look at WrestleMania. That was cool. He went over the top with the WrestleMania stuff. He did really good. I think my favorite thing I ever saw of Rey Mysterio, and I've heard him talk about it before, you know, because people would always say like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were dicks to him, and he's always said like he was good with them, like they were friends. But that night that the NWO raided and Kevin Nash throws Rey Mysterio like a freaking dart right into the side of that trailer head first. I mean, he just nailed him into that trailer of it. That right there, when I saw that again, you know, as a kid, I'm like, my mom's like, son, it's okay. He's not really hurt. I was like, are you kidding? Did you see what he did? He just threw him like a dart right into that thing. There's no way. He just used a human spear.
Yeah.
I had to run and get my copy.
Oh yeah, man. So many hours on that. Like, Friday nights were a big gaming night for me when I was in middle school. My buddies would come over and we'd watch wrestling. So we'd rent video games, a lot of times rent wrestling VHS tapes to watch old stuff that we hadn't seen before. Yeah, man, we would just collect a lot of those tapes and just watch a lot of, WWF in your house pay-per-views and stuff like that. So, that game, man, we spent so much time going through that and so much fun.
Yeah, if you want to get sad and feel bad, you put it in and you play it now, and you just kind of go through the roster, and you're like, oh, they've passed away, they've passed away, they've passed away.
A lot of people.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As soon as you brought that game up, man, that was my first wrestling game I ever played. My cousin had a Nintendo 64. I didn't have one. Now my cousin knew jack squat about wrestling. So how he ended up with the greatest wrestling game that's ever come out, I have no idea. But I remember I would literally want to go spend the night at his house just to play that game. Like, I don't want to play with you. Leave me alone. No, please don't play with me. Let me play against the computer. Because I wanted to do every single title with the person that was holding the title at the time. So if Hogan was the champ, I had to go through the thing and win championship with Hogan. Right. Go down to the tag belts and the US belt and the TV belt and so on and so on. But man, I remember how cool that game was. And you could change, like you could go from, Sting to NWO Sting, or you could, change up Mr. Perfect's the color of his back of his strap, or he was Kurt Hennig in WCW. But yeah, I loved that game, man. Absolutely loved it. And yeah,
all the follow-ups to it were really good too. WWF WrestleMania 2000, and then they had No Mercy was really good on 64 after that.
Good.
I played WrestleMania 2000. I never got the chance to play No Mercy, which is
No Mercy was cool. It had a bunch of like ladder matches and a lot of other like gimmick matches that were really good, and the story kind of Road to WrestleMania thing was really cool. What's up, 84?
Are you going live tonight still, 84?
No, he's going to do his stream tomorrow night. He's doing his live giveaway.
Oh, okay. Shoot, man, if you want to jump in, man, and talk about some of this, dude, hit me up on the Instagram. I'll shoot you the link. You can come on, talk some wrestling with us, man. So I see some of the people in the chat here throwing out some of their favorite cruiserweight. So great choice in Billy Kidman. That when he joined up,
Star Press.
Oh yeah, when he joined up with the Flock, that 7-year era going on, man, he was kind of weird, but he had it, man. That shooting star press, yeah, it was absolutely awesome. So agreeance with you there with the Ray from WCW. We got a Marty Jannetty, the man of 1,000 holds, the original man, and Eddie. So all these great cruiserweights, and I haven't got to mine yet, and nobody else has gotten to who I think is the greatest cruiserweight of all time, all around the world. Man, held 1,000 belts at one time. The master of the turnbuckle headstand, the Ultimo.
Ultimo Dragon. Yeah, Ultimo is really, really good.
Oh, I loved him.
His matches in WCW with everybody were good.
Yes.
The guy was just fantastic and put together some good stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Sorry, I was trying to read the chat. The first time I saw him, I think was on one of the WCW Saturday morning shows. And the first time I saw him, get whipped into the turnbuckle and he just does a headstand, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now what? And then he just kicked the guy. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then, you know, everybody's seen the picture where he's got his hands out and he's got all the belts on and everything. And he had the coolest mask, and his whole ring gear was just awesome. And I loved the Ultimo Dragon. And for the longest time, I didn't know who he was, but the more I kept watching WCW, and when I first started watching, like I got confused, like WCW and WWF. I thought I was watching the same thing. I was like, where's this guy at? And where's that guy at? And I would get the Giant confused with some of the other big, huge guys with long hair in a singlet. And so it took me a minute as a kid to figure out who my guys were and everything. But yeah, Ultimo was an awesome cruiserweight. And I loved guys. We talked about Hoovy, you know, Hoovy was awesome. I loved Parka. You know, he was really cool coming down in that whole skeleton get up, playing air guitar on the chair.
Yeah.
You know, I loved La Parka. And, you know, then you think about WWF and their lightweight division. You know, they had Taka, and he was supposed to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. And he was a total flop once he got there. I remember them really trying to build him up before he actually made his debut. And then they never did much with him. You know, they put the belt on him and let him run with it for a while. But then you get Kai and Tai, so they turned into a comedic act, which was funny. But Funaki ended up being the one that came out on top in that one. I mean, for years, he was running with that. And, you know, Taka is supposed to be the big guy, and he's nowhere to be found for, you know, not too long after that. So I can't really think of too many guys in the lightweight division in WWF who really stood out to me or that I can remember.
Right.
It's unfortunate. The one that sticks out to me sticks out for the wrong reasons, and that's Gilbert.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
As you should. You should forget about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
So Adrian says, does anybody remember the guy with the flat top hair looked like Sub-Zero? You talking about Glacier, man.
Glacier, man.
Truth be told, I loved being Glacier in this game because of that super kick.
Yeah.
Kick.
He was cool, man. He had a lot of vignettes before he debuted. They really acted like they were gonna push the guy. And then he came out, and I don't think anybody really took him that seriously. But, you know, he was a really, really good martial artist. So definitely remember him, though. I mean, absolutely. Anybody else you guys want to talk about? Some of the smaller guys like that? I'm trying to think of anybody I could think of. Billy Kidman was one I was going to talk about. We talked about Hoovy, Mr. Hoovy Guerrero.
It's crazy that So when we say guys, like I'll even include Rey Mysterio in this, but it's weird to consider Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, like Chris Benoit, cruiserweights now. It's just, I don't know. It seems weird to me.
Yeah, that's why I never mentioned Jericho's name. I have him on my list for something else, but he really was a big part of that division, and my favorite time in WCW Jericho was when he was doing the whole the thing with Malenko, and he came out and he had that like 100-page list of his holds, and he's literally just changing like one word, and he's got like 50 different drop toe holds and 50 different, you know, this and that, but he just gives it a different name. He's got like 4 holds on the list, but he's just, you know, and they go to commercial and he's still there reading. So when they come back, and the whole thing with Goldberg ducking him, and he's Jericho's 2 and Goldberg's 0. That was some of my favorite stuff with Jericho and WCW.
He used to come out with that guy Ralphus for a while. That was so funny too.
Oh yeah,
it was an old trucker guy. I think he was driving like one of the ring trucks or something. Is what he really was. But that whole thing was pretty hilarious too.
Have you ever heard him talk about that guy? Like that was not even supposed to go more than that first night, but apparently
they got over so much.
He got over so much. There was freaking signs for this guy, so they had to bring him back. I mean, you know. That's the way it goes. You know, you get over and, you know, they can't ignore it. Okay, I just thought of a lightweight guy, and you guys are going to laugh, but I just listened to an interview with him today, and this guy was told at 4 years old, never ever get on a trampoline and never play contact sports. He actually had a surgery go wrong at 4 years old that left him paralyzed. Had to be life flighted to another hospital and have a rod put in his back. And he decided that being a professional wrestler was what he wanted to do. Again, don't laugh, but Hornswoggle. I mean, after listening to what he said in this interview and everything, it kind of gave me a new respect for the guy because, you know, when he was training, he told the guys, like, I don't want to be trained, and these are his words, not mine. Okay, so nobody get offended and get mad at me, because he even said he doesn't like the words little people. He doesn't like being called a dwarf. He said he likes being called, you know, he said, I'm a midget. He said, I would tell him, you know, it's midget wrestling, but I don't want to be trained for midget wrestling. I want to be trained to be a professional wrestler. I want to take the real bumps. I want to do frog splashes, and I want to do, you know, 619s through the bottom and the middle rope. And, you know, and he's like, yeah, I could be paralyzed at any point. You know, he said I could have walked in my first match, took one bump and been paralyzed. I don't care. He's like, that's what I wanted to do. And, you know, he was told he was going to be there for 6 months. And he had like a 14-year career, he said. I mean, so I thought that was pretty respectable on his part.
Yeah, definitely. Just in the time that he came out, because there weren't a lot of guys like him that were wrestling. You know, in the 80s, you know, that was a whole, you know, gimmick in wrestling. You know, they would have shows and matches just with little people versus little people. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember specifically there was a WrestleMania, and it was King versus Doink, and they both had like a whole slew of guys.
Doinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember. I went to a birthday party, and I don't even remember whose party it was, but we all got taken to Blockbuster, and we were going to get to rent a couple of movies to watch. So we rented that WrestleMania because of me. Like, you know, I was only a wrestling fan, but I was like, no, let's pick a WrestleMania to rent. And I had never seen it. I don't even remember what WrestleMania it was, but we watched that and we were all dying laughing at those guys running all over the place and everything.
Yep.
But yeah, so I thought that was really cool. And I've seen him on and I know, Justin, I know you watch the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. Do you watch it at all?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, so it's Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins' YouTube channel, and they're huge wrestling figure collectors. Like, like take how we feel about comic books and turn it up about 100 notches, and that's where these guys are. And Hornswoggle's on there all the time, and he's like best friends with Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler. Like, those are like his best friends, and the crap that they give each other, like, oh my gosh, it's like they say horrible things to each other, mainly to him. Just, you know, laughs it off and goes right back at them. But you know, getting to see some interviews with him outside of his gimmick is like, man, like he's a pretty cool guy. Like, outside of just being, you know, the leprechaun running around with dirt on his face, hitting people from under the ring.
Yeah.
Also very well spoken.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and now he's like, you know, he's like all tatted up and everything. He's got the long hair and the beard going. Like, he almost looks unrecognizable. But yeah, he's a pretty funny dude. Sometimes he opens up for Dolph Ziggler at his comedy acts too. So he's trying to work on getting into comedy. He owns his own indie organization or something like that, I think he was saying. So yeah, he's making moves for sure. So here's a fun one I thought would be fun, and it might take a minute to think about, but there's a lot of guys that I know I watched growing up, and I'm sure you guys did too, that you were fans of, but they never really broke through that glass ceiling, and never really got their due. Never got to have a long run or a run at all with the big championship, or, you know, but you know, someone you felt like really deserved to have that and never got it.
That's a good one.
Can I say that I'm going to change it slightly? I'm going to go, they got their chance, but then it was taken away from them.
If you say the same guy I am, I'm going to be upset, but go ahead.
Should I?
Oh, no, I didn't even like him, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, RVD. Like, you know, he became the champ, but then he got caught. with yeah.
The night he won the title.
never stick the championship again.
Yep. I think it was him and Sabu were on the road to the next town the night he won the title and got arrested. Like, come on, man. I don't know. RVD, I know everybody loved him, but I don't know. Like, he never really did it for me. I don't know.
I think it's just because at the time he was so different than how everybody else was being presented.
Yeah. Yeah. See, like, I'm kind of like, one of my friends told me one time, like I'm a douchebag wrestling fan because I had the same mentality as like a Triple H or a Vince McMahon does, where like I like to see the big, huge, jacked up guys in the 90s. Like, that was my favorite guys, you know? And I'm sitting there looking like there is no way in my mind RVD has the credibility to beat, you know, some of these other guys. But, you know, I don't know. While you're still thinking, Paul, I'll jump to mine. And this guy,
Sure.
He had a run with the title a couple of times, but they were cut short due to injury both times. And he's been in there a long time. He's been one of the best guys in the ring the whole time. Dolph Ziggler. I have been a huge Dolph Ziggler fan. Not when he was in the Spirit Squad, but you know, he grew the hair out and bleached it blonde. And he came in. I was like, "Is that Billy Gunn's son?" You know, he wore his boots looked like those Alpine Star boots that Billy Gunn wore.
Right.
You know, but the guy is so entertaining in all areas to me. You know, he's great on the mic. He sells very well, and you know, everything he does in the ring is smooth. And I love his super kick. I hate the fact that the super kick has now turned into just a transition move and everybody does it and it's not a finisher anymore. I'm like, are you kidding me? One of the greatest of all time was laying folks down and winning titles and big matches with that move for years. And now it's just a transition move, man. Come on. You can't do that. But, you know, and then Ziggler, you know, he even uses the Famouser, you know, which was awesome to me. But I hate his finishing move. The zigzag to me is one of the worst finishing moves ever because to me, Ziggler looks like he hurts himself worse than the guy that he's doing it on. I'm like, dude, you hit the mat harder than the guy you just pulled that move on every time. But, you know, he had a couple short runs with the title and it was with that World Heavyweight Championship.
Right.
When it was on SmackDown. So it was still looked at as like the B title at that point. But even so, like I would have loved to have seen him have like a really good long run with it. And it never happened. He's won, you know, Intercontinental and US titles, you know, probably as many as anybody out there, minus Chris Jericho, the king of the Intercontinental Championship. But you know, I don't know. I hate the fact that you know, he more now has been he's being utilized now to put guys over, I think, as a vet and help, you know, make other guys look good, which he's great at and he's good with it now, you know, he says. But I would have loved to have seen him have a really, really strong run at one point with the title. I think he could have done it.
Yeah, I think he could have too.
There was somebody that agreed with me. Right on. This is a good one. That's a guy that, he was being pushed. He had a push built, and I don't know what happened, but they were building him as a monster for a long time. Oh, let's see here. Now, I'm going to talk about Foley later, but I thought Foley had a great run. Foley, I thought they did pretty good by Foley. I can definitely see what you're saying there, but I think Foley had a pretty good run. Speaking of big guys, have you seen what Lex Luger looks like now? Yeah, man, heavy drugs and a stroke will do that to you.
Yep.
He's an Atlanta guy now. He's an Atlanta guy. He lives around here too, and I think he's actually he's a motivational speaker or something now. So, but Flexi Lexi was one of my favorites back in the day too, man. He didn't have to say much. All you had to do was walk in and rack you. And you can ask Nick and my little brother Andy. That move works and it hurts. And I was the excellence of execution on that one, boy. That was my favorite one to put them in. Oh, and that's something else I want to talk about later on about, you know, putting and I know you're going to have a little bit more to say about it because you did it professionally. But even though the WWE always says don't try this at home, that just meant I'm literally trying it at home while I'm watching it say don't try it at home. But oh my gosh. So is there anybody that you could think of?
Yeah, mine would be Owen Hart. Owen never really got a run at the title, and he was incredible entertainer, incredible wrestler. His match he had for the build up to him and Brett was just incredible. It's probably one of the best matches I think Owen ever had that I watched. And you know, to tell him his career, I felt like they never really gave him the push he needed, did that stupid blue blazer gimmick, and then we all know his death. But the guy was really up there and should have had his chance. So without a doubt.
You guys keep chatting for a second. I want to grab something.
Yeah.
I know exactly what he's grabbing.
You know?
Also, I'll jump the shark a little bit, and I'm going to ask you the question that you probably get asked like a billion times.
Sure.
Were you lucky enough to wrestle against anybody who eventually made it to WWE?
Yep. So when I first started training, my good buddy David Hardwood wrestled with me. David wrestled under the name Casey McKnight in the Carolinas, which then he got to WWE and became Scott Dawson. So David is, you know, now out of WWE and he's living in Asheville and slowly making his way to AEW. But David started when I first went to my first training. He started with the guy that was training us like 2 months before me, and I knew immediately that David was different than everybody because after 2 days of learning how to bump, David was bumping like he had been bumping for 20 years.
Wow.
The guy still today is probably the best bumper I've ever seen in my life. Like he just lives, breathes, and eats it. So he grew up in a little town called Whiteville, North Carolina, just south of me, about 30 minutes from where I grew up at. So good guy, really good guy. Known him for a long time, but he definitely made it there quick. So I won't say quick, but he made it there. So yes, I mean I did. Mercedes used to come and work at our promotion all the time. Sasha Banks, she just wrestled under her real name for a long time as Mercedes. She came probably 7 or 8 times to our promotion in North Carolina and wrestled. You know, I know a bunch of people that used to be on TV and stuff like that. But, you know, as far as like starting fresh and going all the way up, you know, I knew her for a very long time, and then David, but that's probably about it. So,
do you get asked that a lot?
Yeah.
That's cool. I've heard a lot of people. I don't have cable anymore, so I probably haven't really kept up with watching wrestling. Probably a year or so. I keep up with it on social media and stuff like that, and with the network and all. But I've heard a lot of people talk about those guys, and specifically, I've been listening to and watching interviews for like the last 2 weeks of different wrestlers, and I forget who I was talking about, but they said that those two guys, Dawson and
I forgot his partner's name. Dash Wilder.
Yeah. Yeah, Dawson and Wilder. I forget who it was, but he said that they are absolutely, in his mind, the greatest tag team wrestlers ever. And I was like, wow. And I wish I could remember who it was, but I mean, coming from them was like, wow.
Was it Arn?
Who?
Was it Arn Anderson?
No, and I can't remember who it was.
That's pretty interesting too, because like he never was in a tag team on the indies. He was singles guy, never really worked with that. David's an interesting guy. I was at a show one night, and David said David works what we call stiff or snug is what we would call, and he's one of those guys. He wants you to give it to him. He's going to give it to you, and it's just how he works, right? A lot of us work that way. It's just a style. And he was working this guy in a match, and there was this spot where they were going to do like a belly to belly off the top, and the guy didn't want to take it, and he did it anyway. His whole thing. So when they got in the back of in the back, of course, it blew up and a big fight broke out. So I remember him storming. That was actually the last show him and I worked together on. But he's a hothead, man. He really is.
Nick, your name is about sorry, but it's okay because I was saying earlier, that I know Nick might think he doesn't have much to add to this conversation, but you were a fan of wrestling at the beginning of the ruthless aggression era. And I remember Nick loving Brock Lesnar. I mean, that was his dude. And me and Nick, we used to have all the wrestling video games from that era and moving up, and we used to play all the time.
Yeah, we had fun. It was a good time. Remember that time I powerbombed Katie and broke her tooth?
Mm-hmm. We're gonna get to all that. Now, you brought up something earlier that I wanted to show, and I've showed it on here before, but I don't know if you saw it. But I actually bought this. I made my mom buy this.
Nice blue blazer, yeah.
Yeah, literally the day after the pay-per-view. We were in Walmart, and I saw this on the shelf, and I begged my mom to get it, and she was like, I was like, come on, Mom, like, let me get this. Like this, this is something. Yeah, I roped her into it. I forget how, but, it was literally the day after the pay-per-view when it happened, and I've had it ever since. So, but yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Owen was definitely being groomed and primed to be something special. And I really think if he would have been able to have the opportunity, he would have been around for a long time. And I think he would have been a big player in the Attitude Era. I mean, can you imagine the matches of a seasoned Owen Hart and Triple H with the rivalry they already had? I mean, oh my gosh. And some of the other guys that he could have worked with too. I mean,
yeah.
Owen Hart having the opportunity to work with the Eddie Guerreros and the Chris Jerichos when they came in, those technical Chris Benoit and Owen Hart. Oh my gosh, man, the technical abilities between those guys.
Kurt Angle versus Owen Hart would have been amazing to see.
Absolutely. That
would have been amazing to see.
They would have been able to put on some incredible matches.
Yeah.
So this one's a fun one, and it didn't take any time for me to pick mine, and I'm gonna say mine first because I don't want someone to steal my thunder, because this is my guy and I can't let anybody have my thunder on it. So your favorite underdog. That's something that's always been a part of the storylines. Is building up this guy that has no chance, and then all of a sudden, boom, big payoff. And I know we saw it with Kofi a couple of years ago at WrestleMania. Should have been Dolph. Just kidding. Now that was in the interview today that I watched with Dolph Ziggler, where he was talking about how, him and Kofi are good friends, and he was like, I'm truly, like, in the most loving way, jealous of Dolph. Or of Kofi, like, he's like, I was so happy. He's like, and I envied him having that. But to me, the biggest underdog and success story in wrestling is DDP. The guy did not even really start his career until he was old enough where most guys are ending their careers, and he watching all the interviews and listening to the guy talk, as well as watching him, come up in WCW all the way through, he was the hardest work. He had to work twice as hard as everybody else in that era to get everything he got. And people talk about Stone Cold and what he was able to do. And, not having some flashy gimmick, walking in there in black trunks, black boots. DDP wrestled in a pair of freaking blue jeans and some combat boots and rib tape. The guy had his ribs were taped for 20 years every match. But the guy, I don't know why I connected so much with him, but I mean, he was one of those guys you could feel his passion.
Yeah.
And it was hard to tell when he was really, if he was shooting or if it was a work when he was on the mic, because he was so passionate about everything. And that diamond cutter out of, screw Randy Orton out of nowhere, the diamond cutter, 1,000 ways to hit the diamond cutter, man. And always wondering, how is he going to hit the diamond cutter this time? What's the transition going to be? It was awesome. And when he finally got the championship, and what a freaking awesome way to get it, fighting. It was what, Ric Flair, Sting, and Goldberg and DDP all in the same match. All those names and DDP. That was to me the greatest underdog win ever, because at that time I wasn't knowledgeable enough to be able to read the storyline ahead of time. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, he has no chance. Like, these guys are going to kill him. Goldberg's obviously going to win. So oh my gosh, man, like that was probably the most excited I ever have been about a wrestling match.
Can I go last on this one?
Sure. Nick, do you have an underdog story, favorite wrestler? Or would you like to talk about your first memory or your favorite tag team? Anything?
I remember John Cena coming out and how much you hated him at first. I remember Bobby Lashley. I'm trying to think, but I don't remember any big events. None of that's sticking with me.
Do you remember? So I talked about me and you and Dad going when I bought tickets for us to go to Backlash.
Yep, I do remember that.
I begged them, said, if I bought all of us tickets, can we please go? And Shawn Michaels' music hit, and I think we were actually getting popcorn or going to the bathroom. And I mean, I just hauled ass running away from Dad and Nick. I mean, I was not about to miss it. As soon as I heard doom, 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 I was like, no! I was not about to miss it, man. I mean, I'm sitting here right now, because I was just, that was my guy. And to be able to see him live, I was like, this is the only time I'll ever see Shawn Michaels in my entire life live. And I've got another really cool story for that later. But, that was the biggest thing to me. So I'm glad you remember that, though, Nick. We were actually had just got back from a vacation in Florida or something.
Yeah, it was real soon after.
Yeah, literally, I think we came back from Florida Friday or Saturday, and the pay-per-view was Sunday.
Yep.
And it was the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania. I bought a D-Generation X t-shirt in Florida at a gift shop to wear to the event, not thinking about, hey, they're going to have better t-shirts for sale at the freaking pay-per-view.
Right.
I'm trying to think. So, I got an idea of somebody, but let me see if I can find something real quick I want to share.
Chris, yeah, that's a great point to pull up, man. I remember that too. The DDP, Karl Malone, Hogan, Rodman.
That's a Bash at the Beach stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And then DDP teamed up with freaking the Chin.
Yeah.
Jay Leno.
Jay Leno, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, DDP was a real man, absolutely. Can you think who do you think of when you think of an underdog, Paul?
Oh, I got one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I finally got it. Here we go. Jimmy King.
I will rule you. I love that movie.
There we go. When I think of wrestling, this is what I think of.
It's because I've watched it any chance I got, man. That movie to me still holds up. I love it so much.
Josh, I had to move this over. I was editing Dustin's video. Finally, have it render. It is rendering now. Finally, I finally got the color corrected, and all that good stuff, and the audio fixed again. So I'm just doing it from inside the office. I'm using this to block out some bad scenery, but I'm not. I'm back.
Randy, what is up, my brother?
Justin Paul, hello.
Yeah. What's going on, man?
That's a cute shirt there, Justin. Those look like pops on your shirt.
What?
No, that's the New Day, man.
I couldn't even begin to tell you. I don't
Pancake and cereal.
know.
All right,
know.
so
All right, y'all continue.
Who's next?
For me, underdog wise, I actually have to pick a tag team, and that's the Hardy Boys, because they, not only because they're North Carolina boys and down the road, they started off in WWE working dark matches, and they had no like formal training at all. They had their own wrestling organization here in North Carolina before they went there called Omega. And it's pretty legendary around here. And, you know, they started learning how to wrestle because they built a ring and they had a trampoline in the middle of it with ropes and all kinds of stuff, and just started doing it with their friends, you know, with Shane Helms and all these other guys that became wrestlers too. And so for them to go from that, they kind of bullcrap their way into being jobbers for a while, and then go from there and just have all the success they had. And then, you know, look at Jeff, what he did, the singles matches he had with Undertaker, him eventually getting the title, and everything else is just coming from what they came from, and from, you know, dirt poor North Carolina, the part they're from. And it's to me, it's a big underdog story. So
Absolutely, man. Certified Hall of Famers. I mean,
yeah.
you know what they did with Edge and Christian and the Dudleys with the TLC matches.
Oh man, yeah, good Lord.
I mean, that's a staple that will live forever. I remember, you know, if you talk about singles, and Matt never really had the huge singles push, but to me, his run with MVP over the U.S. title was some of the most entertaining TV ever. All the stupid competitions they did all the time, you know, where they were just trying to one up each other, push up competition, this competition, that competition. You know, it was so entertaining. And yeah, you're absolutely right, man. That Jeff Hardy and Undertaker match, that was something that you know, I remember watching, and I was just like, squash match. Here we go.
It was wild, man. All the false finishes they had in that were just incredible, and the crowd was just going wild. So loved it.
And apparently, Jeff getting up at the end and you know, yelling, you know, I'm still here, I'm still standing, and Taker coming back in and raising his hand, and you know, apparently, like that was like that was supposedly that was all shoot. I mean, like that was not, you know, something that was scripted, and you know, that was literally, you know, apparently they kind of had some heat or something, and Taker was like literally trying to, like, not literally trying to hurt him, but he was definitely laying it to him and trying to, like, I guess, beat some respect into him because he didn't think he had any, and he earned it by the end of the match. So, and his run with CM Punk back and forth over that title was really good too. I hate the way that everything ended for him at that time because he was on top of the world. I mean, Jeff Hardy was the hottest thing on the planet right then. And those two had some really, really good matches back and forth. So, yeah, I didn't even think about them, man. Boys from North Kakalaki.
Yep.
Do you hate it when people say that?
Yeah.
I've heard that, and I've never been one to say it, but I remembered somebody saying that, and I forget, I don't even know if it was in person or something I watched, but the guy from North Carolina was like, I really hate when people say that.
Yep, that's true.
All right, Justin.
So I'm going to tie a few of these in to one. So biggest underdog for me is also going to involve my, like, favorite moment of all time. And that's going to be Mick Foley's first championship win.
Oh, wow.
That match, especially when you hear the glass shatter, Stone Cold come out, and the pop that the crowd gives him, the only louder pop is when they count 3. And because I don't think anybody honestly expected him to win that match.
No. And I remember that happening, and I didn't believe it was going to happen. I never even let the thought cross my mind that it was going to happen. And when it did, like, that was awesome, man. And DX being a big part of that, just so we're keeping it a little bit comic booky. I got this really cool Virgin.
That's really cool.
I love that. I found this at a flea market, and I didn't care what he asked for it. I was taking it home, and the artwork is awesome on it. Absolutely awesome. This might be a Hunt Cover Championship book at some point, just so everybody knows. But I mean, that artwork is fantastic, and this is a 90s Chaos Comics exclusive. So,
and he had that thing in the dollar bin. I mean, it was in a bad condition box, and that thing looks perfect.
Yeah, I bet I could get a 9.8 with no press on that.
I bought a Stone Cold one for a lady I work with. She's a huge Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, like old school Stone Cold. And so I bought a cover of a comic cover and gave it to her, and she thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah, definitely a great choice there, Justin. Man, I didn't even think of, that moment is on my list, but I didn't think about putting it for an underdog. But DDP is always, to me, going to be that underdog, hardest working man in wrestling. So awesome, man. Hardy's, DDP, we got Mankind, and Jimmy the King. Okay. Now
I will rule you.
I see some cool stuff in the chat here. Hurricane Helms, that's a great underdog story too. I mean, how do you go from being, a silly, goofy character to you're working with The Rock? I mean,
who was my other favorite underdog was Hornswoggle.
We talked about Hornswoggle, actually.
Dang, you'll suck.
Spike Dudley. You talking about a guy that you could just beat the dog piss out of. I mean, the stuff they did to that guy was ridiculous, man. I hope he got paid very well.
Brock Lesnar, you see that match Brock did early on when he first came into WWE? And he was just like wrecking Spike. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I watched do you have the WWE Network? I know you probably do.
Yeah, I don't anymore. I did, but I haven't had it in a while.
Well, I'm the same way I used to, and then I only got it so I could watch WrestleMania, and then when I realized that I wasn't watching WrestleMania this year, I went, why am I paying for this?
Well, I have it, and my favorite thing about it is I get to go back and watch all the old stuff, but they do other stuff now. Like they have a series going on called Ruthless Aggression, where they're going through different parts of the Ruthless Aggression era, and that part with Brock Lesnar and Spike Dudley was in there. And yeah, watching that, man, like for people to say that it's fake, you can't you let Brock Lesnar pick you up and slam your body to the ground over and over and over like that again. Like there's a difference between being fake and being scripted. What you guys do in the ring, that's real athleticism. That's real stuff happening, just because some of it is planned, but you can't fake those bumps, man. I mean, and Lesnar don't give a damn. That's something that everybody says, that dude, you talk about somebody that works stiff. They say that guy is ridiculous.
If he was a Mortal Kombat, if he was a Mortal Kombat character, he should rip the sword off his chest and stab people with it.
The story on him getting that sword is so funny. It was like he was drunk and got dared.
Really?
Get a tattoo. So he walked in, told him he wanted something super masculine and manly, and he walked out with a freaking sword going up his torso, and he was pissed the next day. But I mean, if you watch anything on Brock Lesnar and listen to the guy talk and kind of get to know him, I guess you would say, like that sword being on his chest is like completely out of character for that guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't he married to like a 90-year-old woman?
He's married to Sable. Okay. You don't.
So she's like 85.
Actually, I would just say that I would never speak ill about Brock Lesnar's current wife for fear of Brock Lesnar coming and killing me.
Right.
No.
But you're a lot closer to him than I am.
Crap.
Plus, nobody.
I wasn't speaking ill of her. That was
and nobody, not even Catwoman, wears black leather latex better than Sable. I'm just saying. Sable was the original. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Gold Dust. That was a good one, man. Loved Gold Dust. I hated Rain. I loved Gold Dust. I did not like the artist formerly known as Gold Dust. I did not like that gimmick at all. I actually
met him, didn't we?
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually got to meet him. So him and Rick Steiner, and Boss Man, they all lived like really close. Like literally, the Boss Man. I think he was he our mayor, Nick, in Dallas or something?
He was a policeman.
Yeah, I know, but he actually held an office position here in Dallas.
Oh, that I couldn't even begin to
His
tell
kid
you.
went to school at Dallas Elementary. My mom used to work at Kroger back in the 90s, and she would give him crap while he was pushing a buggy around in Kroger, and his little wife next to him telling him where they needed to go and what they needed to do. She said it was just so funny because, I mean, and everybody around here knew him and saw him, but, you know, yeah, Gold Dust was absolutely awesome. So, yeah, I mean, that was definitely some good ones for the underdogs. Nick's was a little off, I think, but whatever. So what about a feel good moment or something that made you kind of like, you know, something that got you really excited, something really ramped up? What, Nick?
When Jimmy King returned to the ring and crowned him.
Oh my gosh.
Chill bumps, dude.
All those references are going to be ready to rumble.
Look, you won't try
I'm okay with that.
So I'm gonna group a bunch of these again.
Okay.
So like my most feel good moment and my holy crap moment, it was at this year's Royal Rumble when Edge returned.
Oh,
that blew my mind.
I didn't even think about that.
You think you know me?
Off my mind. But you're absolutely right. I remember waking up the day after the Royal Rumble, and I was just scrolling through my personal Instagram, which I never do, and I saw Edge, and I was like, no, he's never allowed to step foot in the ring again. They say he takes one more bump, he could die.
Yeah, they said that neck injury he has could be life-threatening. I was like, geez.
Yeah. So I immediately wake up and I turn it on my phone and I'm watching and I'm like, and that music hits and same thing, dude. I mean, goosebumps everywhere. Like I couldn't imagine the people inside that arena, how they felt. But
probably pretty cool.
Oh my
probably
God.
Emotional.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Like I could not believe it. And I was like, well, okay. Like, that's cool. They're going to let him come in, you know, toss somebody out, and then, you know, he'll take an easy clothesline over the top rope or something. And then he actually started working, and I was like, hold on, what's going on here? And I had missed the whole thing at SummerSlam where he freaking just went off script and speared Elias, and that wasn't supposed to happen. But when they actually did a documentary on Edge and his comeback and how all of this happened over the last year and you know, explained all of it, because that was my question, like what happened, what changed, you know, is this guy got some kind of weird like stem cell research stuff going on, you know, underground black market surgeries he did? I mean, was he touched by an alien? How in the world did he make this happen? But absolutely, that's an awesome pick, Justin.
I feel weird picking stuff that's so recent just because I don't know. I mean, like that's one time where I mean, I'm an adult male and I popped. You know what I mean? Like I legitimately got excited for that. Like I couldn't believe it was happening.
Absolutely. And was it okay? Was your excitement more for you as a fan, the Edge is back, or for the fact that, like, you know, Edge is okay and he's like getting to do this again, like he's okay? Like, to me, that was like the coolest thing, is like, oh my God, like he found a way to make it back and he gets to do it now and finish the way he wanted to. Like, you know, that, you know, because I knew I wasn't going to be watching weekly and keeping up with it, but just to know that he was able to do that, like that to me was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I think it was just that he's back and he's not supposed to be, because we had been told for 9 years that
he was done forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he takes a bump the wrong way, that's it. And then he comes out, and then you see him walk out from the smoke, and you can see that he's choking up, and you're just like, okay, this is probably the greatest moment ever.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Paul? You got anything?
As far as like comeback,
or just something that really made you just get all excited?
I think I was really excited for some reason when the NWO angle started back in 2002 in WWF, and even though it didn't work out, still gave us Hogan versus The Rock. And so I think building up to that and then seeing that match was a moment in time I was real, like, just over the top, like I was as a kid, seeing that kind of unfold in front of me. So
yeah, absolutely. I still remember Vince McMahon talking about, I'm going to inject a lethal dose of poison into the WWE. And then he does this number right here.
Yep.
And you got the NWO on the back of his chair. And I was like, oh. We waited how many years after the merger to see the big guys come back? And oh, man, yeah. That was a good one too, man. That's why I like stuff. Like, I get so excited talking about this stuff. I don't know if you guys can tell. But you guys are because I want to pick so many things, but like you guys are picking stuff I didn't think about, and like that gets me excited too. So absolutely, man, absolutely. And I see people here in the chat. So Big Joe coming back from hip surgery and his big weight loss transformation. That guy has completely transformed his body. I mean, that dude's back to having a 6-pack now. Absolutely. Let's see. Undertaker throwing Mankind off the top of the cage. Yeah. Daniel Bryan winning, beating Triple H and Orton. Daniel Bryan's on my list. Yep. So I'll be talking about Daniel Bryan later.
Yeah, I think that WrestleMania is probably still one of my favorite WrestleManias. So the one where, well, I take that back. I enjoyed the first match and I enjoyed the last match. I don't think I really liked anything that happened in between.
So I don't remember much about that WrestleMania outside of those as well. I don't even remember who Taker fought that WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania 30? That's
Shawn?
where he lost to Lesnar.
Oh, yeah, that favorite.
Okay. Okay, so that's on my list at some point too. So my feel-good moment, I had two. One old and one recent. I actually have three. I'm going to cheat. Sorry. I have two olds and one recent. So one, and the reason why I'm going to do three is because Justin already talked about one. Mankind winning the World Championship on Raw. That to me, I was so excited about that because at the time, Mankind was really, he was over, and it was just one of those things. Like, I don't know why, but I really like Mankind, and I really want him to win this match. And I remember getting up and running around the house, like I was so excited about that. And there'd be certain nights I would beg Mom, please let me stay up tonight. This is the main event match. Like, I gotta watch it. Like when Goldberg was fighting Hogan at the Georgia Dome, she let me stay up that night. And I probably, ripped the room apart, and that didn't make my list. But the other one would be, here he goes. The other one would be the return of Shawn Michaels to the ring. To me, that was like the biggest thing ever.
That was a shocker too.
Oh my gosh, when he came out of that curtain, and then because he'd come back a couple times and he just had on-screen roles, but once I knew he's back, oh, it was over. So that was huge for me. And the most recent one would be Royal Rumble, AJ Styles. When AJ Styles showed up in the WWE, as soon as it says I'm like, I am phenomenal. No, are you serious? I'd been following AJ Styles through TNA. I loved AJ Styles. He's another Georgia boy, lives about an hour away from me. And, he just seems like one of those guys, if you were to, see him out somewhere, like you could just say, hey, what's up? Like, and he'd be cool. Say, hey, I would never bombard these guys for, pictures and autographs, but, just to say, oh man, look, that's AJ Styles right there. And, I think he would kind of, he just seems like a regular old dude. He doesn't let it all get to his head. And he's worked so hard and been in the industry for so long. And then finally getting to finish out in the WWE, and they've done really good by him. I mean, the guy's been on top since he got there. And,
he's an amazing wrestler. He's just really great. I met him a couple of times when TNA first kind of did the X Division thing and had all those guys in there and stuff, they used to run a lot of shows. Hermie Sadler, the race car driver, started a promotion. He would book TNA wrestlers, and then they would go do shows in the Southeast. And I went to a couple of shows, and if you paid like $100, you get in early and you get to meet all the guys, take pictures and stuff. And he was at all those shows, and he was always very approachable, very nice guy. Just like some of the other guys were not so much, but he was always really cool. So.
Yeah, he definitely seems like it. And he's one of those guys that's very versatile. He can play a baby really good, but man, he plays a great heel.
Yeah, that stuff he had with Flair that he did in TNA was pretty funny.
Yes.
I hate the fact that he had a moment. Like, that was a moment. Him debuting at the Royal Rumble was a moment. And the camera didn't show the crowd reaction. They just went to Roman Reigns' reaction. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they did. You're right. He didn't get his whole.
I'm not one of those people who likes to rag on Roman Reigns just for the sake of ragging on him. But this is one time in one case where I'm going to say that was a poor decision. I don't care what his reaction was. I want to see what the crowd reaction was to this huge moment where AJ Styles debuts.
Yeah, because that was absolutely a huge moment for sure to take away. It's kind of like when Edge came back. I mean, he goes to hit his first spear after 9 years in the Royal Rumble, and they cut to the crowd.
Yeah,
you didn't even see it. Bad
camera, bad production, I guess.
Yeah, but so those are awesome moments for sure. I remember because my mom and her boyfriend, they watch wrestling now. He's a big wrestling fan. And my mom and dad, when I was a kid growing up, they watched wrestling and they would buy the pay-per-view. So it was like, all right. But my mom and dad quit watching it like a whole long time ago. But now she's into it again because her boyfriend's into it. So I remember like texting them or Snapchatting like, oh my God, AJ's in there now. It's over. The only thing that would have been cooler is if he would have been able to win, which, there's no way they're going to, I guess bring in a new guy and throw him right into that. But he did get to go into an awesome angle with Chris Jericho, which to me was huge, to getting to go in there and start right off with that guy. So, I mean, anybody that gets to start off with somebody of Chris Jericho's caliber, I mean, that says a lot. Nick, do you have do you remember anything serious that made you kind of like get excited that you saw at some point?
I don't know. I mean, I don't remember enough about it. Like, on a serious note, I remember The Rock inducting his father into the Hall of Fame. That was a pretty cool moment. And then, I don't know. I mean, other than that, nothing really like super sticks out to me. There were moments like, I always thought the coolest thing was like when Mick Foley would get on there and he'd land on tacks or the barbed wire bats and they'd rip each other open. Like, that was the kind of stuff I remember, but nothing to like an emotional level that, really resonated with me.
Yeah.
I whenever I watched it, it was, probably
you
just
didn't have that same passion for it like I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'll tell you who's the greatest wrestler of all time. The Great Khali.
Oh my gosh. He ain't even got no knees, man. His ankles go straight to his hips.
In all seriousness, though, that belt behind you would be like the size of his nipple. That dude was huge.
He wore this belt disgracefully for a little while, actually. He was a monster of a man, but he was not a very very good in-ring guy. I mean,
no, not at all.
He didn't move much.
But Nick, that was a great segment though, and you didn't even know it, into the next topic. And if I know I said we were only gonna go an hour, guys. If you guys are ready to go at any time, please let me know. I don't want to hold you. Like I said, I can go forever. But the next thing I was going to say is who's your favorite big man?
Bruiser Brody for me. So,
who?
Bruiser Brody for me. That guy was just,
old school.
Yeah, I mean, I like going back and watching like a lot of old school like Japanese matches. Like his matches with like Stan Hansen, who was another just brutal dude, are just incredible. I mean, the work they put in the Japanese style is really brutal anyway. He just could work really well, and he would scare the crap out of people, like legitly. I mean, the guy was terrifying. So for me, it would be him.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff about him, but I don't think I've ever actually watched anything on him. But I do know who he is, and I've heard the name around a lot with interviews and stuff I've watched. So I know he's a very well respected guy as far as his work and stuff. And I've seen him, so I definitely can see where he can be a scary dude.
Yeah, they would be matches where he had some beef with the promoter and he was leaving, or they didn't pay him what he wanted. He would just sit in the middle of the ring like this, and the wrestler is like, Lex Luger tells a story about that where he did that on Lex, and Lex didn't know what to do with him, and then the promoter was like screaming outside the ring and, "Hey, I'll just pay you, just wrestle." He still wouldn't. Like, people were terrified of him. You know, Al Snow tells a story about him when he came in and had to wrestle him, and he was doing a handicap match against him with one of his buddies, and the week before, Bruiser Brody, he shattered the guy's like sternum from doing that knee drop on him. And he told the guys, you know, they went to him, they asked him, you know, what are we doing tonight? Because you kind of always approach the guy who's got the, you know, the more seniority than you, that's been around longer, find out what he wants to do with the match. And he just said, you know, just go out there and listen, didn't tell him anything. And they get in the match, and basically they're going around getting beat up and stuff, and he wasn't really rough on Al, but Al's partner was on the ring, and he's holding Al by the hands. Bruiser goes there and hits the, you know, tag partner, and the guy doesn't drop. And he's like, oh crap. And he's like yelling at this guy, hey, go ahead and drop. And Brody gets mad and just lifts his leg and kicks the guy in his face. And like he slides across the floor and just pouring blood out of his mouth because the guy wouldn't basically sell for him. He said Bruiser was nice with him, didn't do anything with him, but he like knocked the crap out of his tag partner.
Yeah, I mean, you know, guys like that, you know, that, you know, those, you know, that are veterans and stuff, they don't take well, from what I've seen, to no sells.
Nope.
One thing that I always think of when this conversation comes up is, and it's a famous segment, I've watched it many times, was the Tough Enough segment when Triple H comes in. And this was back, you know, right when he was really in his prime. Tells the guys, you know, come in, take a bump, take a bump, take a bump. And then tells them, you know, to snap on impact. So the one guy, you know, Triple H is laying into the guy, and he's snapping, but he never hits the ground. He's gonna tell you something right now. You react that way in the ring with me, I'll tag you for real. He said, you don't ever no sell like that. He said, I'm throwing something like that at you, you better hit the ground. And I mean,
it's rough, man. You'll be in a ring with some guys, and you know, the guy who's, you know, been in the business for a while, he's going to call the match. If it's wrestling kind of old NWA style, which most places do except WWE, they are spot heavy and they choreograph everything from start to finish. But, you know, older guys, man, if you're not paying attention, or they call a spot and you didn't hear it, and then you mess it up, they're going to hit you for real, just because they're mad and you're not paying attention, or you do something to hurt them, or just anything like that. They're gonna hit you for real.
Oh yeah,
it's guaranteed.
Get your Stone Cold land a potato on you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Justin, favorite big man, dude.
So define a big man, because I have one in mind, but it's weird to think of him as a big man.
To me, I think of two different things because I couldn't pick one, so I kind of just threw like a few in there. So like I'll go first, just to give you an idea. So like I've got guys like Taker, of course.
That's who I was thinking.
And the Giant, not Big Show, the Giant. For a guy of his size to nip up in the middle of the ring like he used to, the athleticism, and then I
drop kicks.
Oh my gosh, yeah, to throw a drop kick. Yeah, Andre. Yeah, he was really good too. I never really watched much Andre, so I didn't really have him on mine. But then I think of big guys. I think of other guys like Cameron's got him right here. Vader. Vader was
Bam Bigelow.
Big guy. Big Bam Bigelow was a great big guy. Yokozuna was a great big guy.
Yeah.
So in my mind,
Rikishi.
Rikishi, I consider Rikishi to be a big guy to an extent.
What do you mean consider? He's huge.
Yeah, but if you look at guys like Yoko and Vader and Bam Bam, like they're tall, but they're huge too. And Rikishi wasn't as tall as those guys, but I mean, he was a big dude and he was athletic. I mean, talking about another guy throw a mean super kick. I mean, he will put it on
Samoa
you.
Joe is a big dude that was pretty athletic for what little I saw of him.
Man.
Yeah,
he's a hardcore worker too.
Oh, yeah. So sorry, Justin. Did I steal your thunder on Taker?
No, you're fine.
Was that who you were gonna say?
That's who I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. Like, it's crazy to think that he's like what, 6'9"?
6'9", 6'10", something like that. Yeah.
I didn't know if that counted. Like, if we were talking like tall or like big.
He'd be a big man for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, Whale JR put it damn near 7-footer. I also think about Kane. I mean, Kane was great, and he scared me to death. I thought he actually ripped that cage door off. I mean, that scared me. I let my 4-year-old, he started showing interest. So he's Undertaker crazy right now because it's like he's scary, but at the same time, he likes him. And it doesn't matter if, who he's wrestling. In my little kid's eyes, Taker's the bad guy. And I bought my kid an Undertaker figure that was actually the first figure I ever got, ever. I found it at a comic book store and brought it home to him. And he was so excited about it. And I've got it somewhere in the house. I was hoping I could find it tonight and show it. But yeah, Taker, definitely a good one for sure. Typhoon, earthquake, natural disasters that I'm seeing here. Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are definitely good guys. Absolutely. The Shark, Kamala was good. I think about guys like Abdullah the Butcher. He was I've eaten at his restaurant. I've had him actually come sit down at the table with me at his restaurant and sit and talk to me when I worked at Comcast. I mean, he'd sit down and talk to us for like an hour while we were on lunch. We'd hear some cool stuff from him. Man, looking at that dude's forehead, those scars and stuff is just crazy looking, man. Like, that is just wild.
All the blading he's done over the years.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Harry, I was waiting for somebody to bring in Big Sexy Big Daddy Cool. I like Kevin Nash. He was limited, but he was definitely an important guy for sure.
And Kevin Nash was a villain in a Punisher movie.
and in the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, yep, he was Shredder as well too. So.
Shredder, man, he was so jacked. Big boss man. Yeah. I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of guys. All right. So these are going to kind of be like pick and choose who you liked better. So let's start. Oh, hold on. Wrestler you dislike most. I'm going to piss everybody off. We'll probably lose all of our viewers as soon as I say the guys that I'm going to say, and you guys might leave too. I don't know, but
I hated Kurt Angle. He got on my nerves.
Well, for a long time you were supposed to. So I hate guys you're not supposed to hate.
I hated CM Punk. He was a whiny brat, for lack of a better word.
He was entertaining No, I like Punk.
I hated everything about ECW.
I pissed CM Punk off. Like literally pissed him off.
You told that story Saturday night.
Yep. So you guys think of anybody you're not a fan of at all?
I'm trying to think of someone like outside the box, but it's so easy just to pick Triple H. It is.
Well, okay. Your opinion obviously doesn't matter. Hello.
It's amazing
I
to me
regret
that shirt
nothing.
is still viable for you.
Oh, dude, this is the greatest wrestling T-shirt ever made. This is the coolest shirt ever, man.
He used to wear those with his P. Miller pants, dude.
No, I quit wearing those well before I got this.
I don't like
Chris, I'm not going to say King, bro. I promise.
Bischoff was a really frustrating person.
Oh, he was supposed to be, man.
Oh, who Triple H's manager? He was annoying. Or not Triple H, Undertaker. The short dude. Oh, no, yeah. He was annoying. And then,
come on.
Paul Bear was like one of the greatest ever, dude.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy? Rod Van Dam sucked.
Yeah.
I hated him.
Did you say Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah, I don't like Jeff Jarrett. He's
Okay.
just he's a prick, man. Just me going to those
nuts.
me going to those early shows I was telling you about, and meeting a lot of the TNA people. Every time I went, he was always there. He was just rude to people, man.
Really?
The fans and everything. Yeah, it's just wanted you to hurry up and get out of the way, take your picture, move on. Just like he was just real. Man, I don't like him. But, he might have been working his gimmick, but either way, it was just. Yeah,
I was gonna say, so that's cool because that's why I wanted to have you on, because I know you're gonna have a different perception on things and be able to bring a different viewpoint to the table, because you got to meet some of these guys and you know the inside of what's going on. And if I've said and I know that you guys as the professionals sometimes hear fans say stuff that they say it wrong, or they'll like say they might mean one thing and say another thing, and it, I know that it like pisses the guys off sometimes. So if I've done any of that, I do apologize. I tried to make sure, like I wrote down, like don't say this, stuff that I've heard in interviews where guys are like, oh, please don't call it that, or please don't say this, But
I don't think nothing like that, man.
I try not to be an armchair guy, I promise.
Yeah, I was trained by a guy I used to wrestle in WCW named the Maestro. His name's Robert Kellum. He was in WCW, tail end of WCW, like 2000s there. His biggest thing was he had a run with Ernest the Cat Miller, and they brought James Brown in and did a whole pay-per-view thing. I think it was Slamboree or something. So yeah, so Stroh's a really cool guy, but I mean, I learned from him. So he's an old school guy. He's the kind of guy, they would beat the crap out of you if you got up to come into the ring and didn't wipe your feet off.
Oh,
you don't see that anymore. If you watch old wrestling, before they cross the ropes, they wipe their feet. It's a sign of respect for the ring that you want to go in, and you're not necessarily cleaning your feet. It's just a show of respect, and they teach you to do that. And if an older guy saw you not doing that, he would friggin' beat your butt bad, man.
I've always noticed that used to be a thing. Yeah. And I never knew that that's what it was. Like I in my mind, I was thinking maybe they were just, I know, backstage, they're basically just walking around in like the concrete hallways and stuff. So maybe, it's, I'm sure it's dirty back there. They were just trying to make sure they didn't have anything on their feet, but that's a cool thing to know though. I mean, that's awesome to know for sure. I can see where, in anything you come up as one of the old heads, in a certain way of doing things, and these young guys come in and they, I can relate it to being a guy that rides Harleys and being around some of the guys I am. Like, there's a certain way that these guys carry themselves, and you better know how to be around them. There's certain guys wearing certain cuts. If if you approach them, you better make sure you have your sunglasses off. If you stick your hand out, it better not have a glove on it, or you're liable to get, you're liable to, tote an ass whooping because of something that simple. So I can definitely understand where that's coming from.
Yeah, and a lot of the trainers now, like I don't know how it is at some of the schools, but a lot of schools, if you go to like, the Wild Samoan schools, or if you go to like Johnny Rods or any of these older guys that have been around a while, they still treat it the same way. If you go to training, they're going to beat the crap out of you the first day because you've been watching TV. It looks easy. Everybody tells you it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. But your first day is going to be a living hell. And if you come back the next day, they'll be easy on you. But you're not going to have an easy first day. And I always loved that. They'd bring new guys in, on a training day, a guy would show up, and you get in there, and the trainer said, lay into him, and you just lay into him. You don't try to kill the guy, but when you give him a forearm shot to the back, you're not laying easy on him. When you chop it, you're going to break skin on his chest, things like that. When you clothesline him, you hit him as hard as you possibly can, shoulder blocks hard as you possibly can, and they want to do it, they'll come back. So
I've always wanted to just hit the ropes because I've always heard they hurt so bad. Like when it
depends on the ring.
I've always heard.
The funny thing is, if they use like real rope, like WWE does, it pinches a little bit more than the like elevator cable style that you see on some rings. That doesn't hurt as bad.
Okay.
But you learn a respect for the ropes when you see a guy bust his head up because the rope snapped. I can't tell you how many times that happens. You don't see it a lot. You won't see it on TV a lot because WWE, they don't keep their stuff very long. They get rid of it and get new stuff constantly. But a guy that's been working a show for a long time and setting that ring up over and over and over and tying those ropes on the turnbuckle over and off, they get worn out after a while. So you learn. Like John Cena is the absolute worst for this. He's the one that would probably put himself in the hospital. If you watch him run the ropes, when he runs back, he lifts one leg up because he's putting all his weight on the ropes. But John's only wrestled in these small confined areas where he's not had experience this wrestling on a ring that's sideways or all this kind of stuff that you do on the indies, or a guy's been having a ring for 20 years you got to bump on. You bounce off that rope and you put too much weight on it and it snaps, you're going to go straight back and fall and hit your head. I've seen it happen to so many people, man. It's not even funny. So little small things like that. Sorry, I'm going off on way tangents here.
You're good, man. I love it, man. I love it. So you
JBL
didn't like
was an ass JBL, he sucked.
JBL's a real jerk in real life. All the interviews I've heard about him, man, bullying people and stuff. Yeah, but I heard that he's not really. I heard that he's just more bark than anything. Like he never really.
He's real bad about hazing and bullying, but yeah.
I mean, ribbing
things sucked
bad in wrestling anyway, so people just kind of a thing.
Nick's over here just marking out all night.
I'm just thinking of who I hated. Like Vicky Guerrero annoyed the ever-loving crap out of me when I was
so if every single person you're saying you hate is because they did their job, though. Like they made you hate them because they were playing the heel. So like that's cool though. Like they
I didn't like Booker King. I didn't like his little.
I hated King Booker.
I didn't like that gimmick they had.
I did not like King Booker, and I love Booker T, but I like WCW Booker T. So I don't have it anymore. I actually had a buddy of mine. His girlfriend sold his guitars that his grandparents and father gave him, and he learned how to play on. And I had a really nice Takamine acoustic, and I traded it so that I could get his guitars back for him. So, but that's what I used to play, and that's what's actually tattooed on my arm here. So that's what I used to play, was a Takamine acoustic.
A Takamine.
So hated Jeff Jarrett. Who did you say, Justin?
Triple H.
Triple H. That's right. That's why I didn't remember, because your opinion did not matter. All right, so
Jeff is gonna quit hanging out.
This is like I told you, you don't have to worry about, like, Justin and me have a thing going, dude. We talk all the time. We're like girls now.
Y'all are weird.
He thinks
That
it's
made
weird
me
that
feel
me and you
awkward.
talk all the time. I'm like, dude, maybe it's weird that you and him don't talk all the time. Maybe that's
No.
why.
I think it's weird that you're like, oh, we have things.
Hey,
We have a thing.
I send one message through Twitter, like Twitter DM. I have no idea which one of you two is going to answer. I just know that someone does.
we'll see who he. I guarantee you, Justin's going to have a Team Dustin shirt on. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I got to correct those designs. Have you shown those off yet?
Yeah.
You showed them?
Tonight? No. We can show them later. All right, so now it's time for me to piss everybody off. So the guys I dislike the most, one of them is an older school guy from the 90s, and one of them is a guy that's wrestling right now. What? It's not John Cena.
I know. But all I'm trying to tell you is,
oh my gosh.
All right, continue.
Comics and Death Metal. Ryan says Team Justin.
He does need his own, huh?
So I was hoping he would be here when I said these two, but I'll say the first one. So the first one I really did not like. And I did not, it's not that I did not like his character, but I just grew to not like him as a person the more I've watched on him. And that's Bret Hart. He just seems like he's a total dick, and I don't know why. But he's just
we just going out the concern for all family friendly, huh?
Nick, it's after 11 o'clock, dude. I thought I have a couple words that I can't say, dude. I'm keeping it pretty toned down though. But I don't know. I just always thought Bret Hart just seemed like he was a total like prick all the time, man. And I know he had some crappy stuff happen to him. Like I understand, but I don't know. I thought that I don't know, and maybe some of it was the fact that he just did play that good of a heel, but I was not. Is it Spider-Man?
No, I just noticed his what he said before that.
Oh yeah, you just saw that, yeah. So I'm not. He was a great wrestler, fantastic wrestler, but I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of Bret Hart, and maybe that was because I was a Shawn Michaels guy. I don't know. But the other one that I don't like is Daniel Bryan at all.
Yes.
Cannot stand Daniel Bryan even a little bit.
Is that him?
And I don't know. I haven't watched anything on. I don't know anything about Daniel Bryan, the human being. I hate his character. Cannot stand his character. I think he just. I don't know. I just am not a fan of him at all.
I don't like Bryan either, but I like Bryan Danielson, who he was before he came to WWE. His matches,
American Dragon,
was really, really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't he marry John Cena's wife or something?
No, he married the other twin. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan of him. I hated when they did the whole. I remember he had like the championship, and he got rid of the belt and the championship, and it was made out of like hemp and wood, and like it was all like turquoise stones and stuff. I was like, that doesn't even look like people talk about Cena tarnishing the championship by making it spin. That freaking Daniel Bryan belt was trash. That thing was trash. The only thing I liked with Daniel Bryan was when him and Kane teamed up together and they had to go to therapy together. That was entertaining to me. But outside of that, like I've never been a fan of Daniel Bryan. I don't care for his physique. I don't know. To me, he's just never. To me, I've just not been a fan of him. I understand he is a great in-ring worker, but he just never appealed to me as a fan. So I'm sorry to everyone here on the show with me who are fans. Everyone in the chat, I am sorry, but that was just how I felt about it. So let's move on before we lose more viewers. So, here
that's pretty cool though.
It looks horrible.
It's weird that they brought that out just for a month. Just like that belt was only around for a month.
Yeah, I don't know. It was horrible though. I didn't like it.
You know who would look good in that belt?
Who? Oh my gosh. All right, so these are either or questions. So we'll start with Nick, and then we'll go
either
Justin, and then we'll hit first edition, and then me. Nick, WCW or WWF? You weren't watching wrestling at the time, so
WCW because Goldberg and all of that ordeal. I remember that a lot.
okay. And yeah, Cameron, that was what
Sting?
I'm saying. Like I can understand, like he had some bad stuff happen to him and all. I don't know. He just
Sting was a part of WCW, right?
who?
Yep.
Sting.
Sting. Yep.
Yeah.
Was Kevin Nash? Was he a part of that? Yep. So see, those are the guys I remember. And then I remember like 5 seconds of John Cena, and then nothing.
Okay. Justin, WCW or WWF?
I'm from the north, so WWF.
He's a New York guy. What do you think, man?
WCW for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I was a switcher, man. I was the guy. I'd watch that first hour of WCW. I'd catch the cruiserweights. As soon as it was time for war, man, I was going over to USA. And
Raw is war.
I really loved WCW. I really did, but I think I was more of a WWF kid at that time because of Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels and DX. But then it's hard to choose. I don't know. I
jump back and forth. Yeah.
I probably watch more old WCW Nitro stuff than I do anything else.
Nitro.
I love Nitro, but my biggest problem with WCW was like I hated like that they would build something up and you get like a really disappointing finish. I felt like
that's what she said.
Starrcade being one that I could throw out as an example, and I think a lot of that fell on Sting though, with why that Sting Hogan Starrcade match didn't work out as well as they hoped because Sting was in a bad place and he wasn't in shape for the match. And I've watched tons of interviews and listened to Sting talk about that, and he takes the blame for it 100%. But then same thing, WrestleMania 14, Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold match was nowhere near what it could have been, but Shawn was on his way out with back injuries. His head was jacked up. He was, taking pills and stuff. So, but so we got 2 WCWs, 2 WWF guys. That's pretty good. Good split there. So this one, I don't know. It could, I guess maybe you could swap on this one. So Nick, NWO or DX?
DX, absolutely.
All right.
X-Pac was the man.
Oh my God, he must have been listening earlier.
You look like you're having a seizure when you.
I felt like it actually. My arm hasn't moved that fast in quite some time.
He just had a Kevin Nash moment. He pulled a quad doing the DX chop.
It blew his knee out.
Gone. And what do you mean X-Pac was earlier, dude? He was the greatest. You don't talk bad about X-Pac.
I already did. But I also praised him, so.
I'm gonna pick DX on this one.
NWO for me, like that's an easy answer. So, and X-Pac was in NWO before he was in DX. So
true.
Hey, didn't X-Pac become a porn star?
No.
Yeah, he just had a film, a private sex tape with him in China that got leaked. Like
all of Paige's stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she's got more film time than Pamela Anderson, but it was leaked. But yeah, I'm DX all the way. I loved the MWO. Honestly, I think I enjoyed the Wolfpack more. Like that Wolfpack music. Like I love the original NWO music. Love it. That Wolfpack music, that was the coolest crap ever. They were the cool NWO after NWO stopped being cool. And, it was awesome. But I don't know, man, DX, it just never got old for me. And even when Shawn and Triple H got back together and brought it back, and now they still do every now and then, you see the Outlaws come back a couple years ago. Yeah, I'm definitely DX. Everybody in the chat saying NWO. So either way, I mean, as fans, we won as fans in the 90s, having both of those factions together. I mean, without both of those factions, both of them had to happen to me in order for that era to be so great. I mean, it would have been a hole in both sides of the spectrum without either one of them. But I think the NWO definitely played a bigger part in their company's success than DX did, because I think WWF still would have flourished with DX hadn't happened because of the star power they had with Rock and Austin at the time. WCW didn't have a Rocker in Austin, even with Hogan. Like, Hogan was not at that time, to me, at the level of Rock and Austin. So
I feel like with NWO, they just let anybody in. DX was like the 6 people or whatever it was, and that was it.
Yeah, they started letting too many people in, and it got stale. That's why when they broke the Wolfpack thing out, it made it a little bit more fresh and stuff. Because they were literally adding everybody, Scott Norton, just like random people.
When they let Disco Inferno in, I was done.
Yeah,
Virgil.
Yeah. Buck was pretty
you know who else I hated?
He really made it really fun. So he was a good member.
I hated Randy Orton.
Buck Bagwell, he's down there from you guys too. He's from Marietta.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what one of the biggest swerves was with the NWO. Dusty.
Oh yeah,
that was
in I think it was Slamboree. It was Outsiders versus somebody. I can't remember who it was. And Dusty was there, and he went in and dropped the elbow on somebody, and then had the NWO shirt on. I remember that.
Yeah, he had on like a blue jean long sleeve shirt buttoned to the top, and he is sweating to death. I'm like, what is this bastard wearing this blue jean long sleeve shirt for? And he pulled that shirt off. I was like, oh no. So that was cool. I mean, Sting joining the Wolfpack the way he did, that was an awesome swerve.
It was.
So they had all kind of really cool swerves with the NWO. How about DDP? You know, putting the NWO shirt on and then dropping freaking Scott Hall. That was awesome. That really launched him right there. I mean, that launched him. So, I mean, either or, NWO, DX. I don't think it's a wrong choice there. So favorite? Do you guys have a favorite match?
Mine is the WrestleMania I Quit match between Bret Hart and Stone Cold. Probably one of the best matches I've ever watched ever. So.
That was WrestleMania 13?
Yeah, 13, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was it 13 or 12? No, 12 was when Shawn beat Bret. So, yeah, it had to be.
I think it's 13, yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. But, yeah, it was an incredible match.
Justin?
I brought it up earlier. The Mick Foley's first championship win.
Got you. Nick,
you know what mine is?
What?
Yep. So mine was from this little guy. And at the end, Sting comes down, drop kicks him. And then, you know.
I was waiting for it.
It was a good match.
I think my favorite match was the 3 Stages of Hell match or not the 3 Stages of Hell match. I'm sorry. It was the street fight. The first Shawn Michaels' first match back against Triple H. The build up of that and everything. Shawn's first match back. It killed me to see him come out there in a freaking pair of blue jeans, though. I'm like, come on, dude, don't do me this way. I'm thinking this is the only match he's gonna have, and he's come out in blue jeans. But yeah, that was an awesome match. I loved that match so much. And the other match that I would probably say tops that one would be Bret and Shawn, our Iron Man match at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels coming down from the top. Look at him coming down from the heavens, you know. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, man. WrestleMania is a spectacle, but nobody has topped that. In my opinion, nobody has topped what Shawn Michaels did in that, and nobody can, because it'll never be able to be allowed to happen again. So that match was huge for me too. Okay. Favorite all-time heel and favorite all-time babyface.
Favorite babyface? That's easy for me. It's going to be Stone Cold. Favorite heel? I really, really like what MJF is doing. It's just a lot of fun to hate him.
I have no idea who that is.
In AEW. So I'm doing a recent pick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't got to watch any AEW, and I hate that.
Is Stephen Amell a part of AEW yet?
Who?
Stephen Amell, Arrow?
Like, he's in the extended AEW universe.
Oh, okay. I know he did some wrestling over there with Cody Rhodes, but I didn't know if since he left Arrow officially, or maybe he did. I don't know. I quit watching it, if he was over there or not.
Yeah.
Sorry, I digress.
How about you, First Edition?
My favorite heel would probably be Ric Flair. I think he's a really, really good heel. Probably top face. I was going to say The Rock, but I actually like The Rock better as a heel than a face. But probably I like Bret Hart as a face. I really do.
Okay.
I think he got over with kids really well. He got over as a nice face when people rooted for him a lot too. But still at the same time, you know, he's a good in-ring worker too. So
yeah. So I'm seeing Macho. We got Razor.
Do I get to show off mine?
Sure, go ahead, Nick. Let's see Jimmy.
The first. Sorry, no. I just dropped First Edition Comics YouTube channel in there. Y'all go subscribe to that, please.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so this is my favorite heel.
DDP.
Nope, the heel of Sting.
Oh, Sting's heels. You're an idiot.
You get it? I thought it was humorous. There was a lot of time spent finding that scene. Actually, I've been doing that for the past hour.
Oh, so my favorite face has got to be Stone Cold. Attitude Era was my big thing. Got that Attitude Era #1 Boom Studio special comic. I loved that book. It reads awesome. It's an awesome read. It's got some NWO stuff, some DX stuff. So Austin is my top face. And my favorite heel is Triple H because he was so good at making people hate him. He played the part of being able to just be so sadistic and he could really look like make people think like he was just a mean, evil person. He could work the mic as a heel so much better than a face. To me, he's awkward as a face. I mean, unless he's being funny, it doesn't work to me. But as a heel, oh my gosh, man, he does that better than anybody to me. I feel ashamed that I didn't pick Ric Flair because you're absolutely right. I mean, you don't get that name of being the dirtiest player in the game for no reason. Mm-hmm. So I definitely can agree with you on that one. So, yeah, me and Justin both picked the same one. Ryan says he's a Stone Cold guy too. I had all kinds of Stone Cold shirts. I had the Stone Cold University. I had this skull with a rattlesnake going through it. Man, it had some awesome stuff. All right, last two. Favorite all time. Go ahead, Nick.
I expect it every time, and yet I'm still shocked when it happens.
Right? I'm sure it'll happen tomorrow at some point because it's still going to be on here.
No. Tomorrow we're going to be focusing on things like how cool this is.
Nice.
Justin, favorite all time, man. If you say Kingston or somebody from New Day, you're gone, dude.
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold?
Yeah. It's just, I know it's the easy pick, but
you can't fight it. I mean,
no.
Dude was running everything at the time. I mean,
yeah.
He was absolutely. I mean, there's no way you can be wrong with that pick. So I respect it.
It's he still said the greatest, like the greatest single line from a promo that I can ever clearly remember, and I think it gets overlooked because he delivers it, or he says it right before the beer bath. And the line is that he's going to check himself into the SmackDown hotel, roll up to room 316, and burn the son of a bitch down. Yeah.
Burn that some bitch to the ground.
That's like the greatest line
I've going on, man.
Ever heard.
Some bitch.
Yeah. And I feel like it gets overlooked or it gets forgotten just because of what happens 30 seconds after that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. As soon as you said it, I knew exactly where you're going with that, man, for sure. I'm interested to see who you say, man.
I'd probably say The Rock, honestly, just because I think I marked out more to him than anybody else in my life, and so I actually rooted for him a lot when he was a heel, and I liked him as a heel, and liked him just as much when he was a face. His matches with Stone Cold were always really good. He wrestled a leather strap match with Triple H at a SummerSlam one year that was absolutely incredible. I don't know. His career is like this. If you look at it in its timeline, but I love just about everything.
It was explosive, though. I mean, absolutely. I mean, at the time, he was the youngest world champ in history. And then of course Lesnar took that, and then Randy Orton took that. But I mean, he was, at the time, and I mean, the matches he had with Triple H, the matches he had with Stone Cold, my God, the matches he had with Mankind, and I'm going to speak to one of those in a minute. Absolutely. And then, the way he literally was the most electrifying man in sports entertainment for sure. So yeah, you guys took the two big ones, but they weren't. Either one of those were on mine. And if anybody is shocked at who I'm going to pick, then I'm going to.
I know. Can I take a guess?
Who? No, that's my favorite Hunt cover champion right there. Triple H and Shawn Michaels is neck and neck. There's no way for me to choose between them. And it has nothing to do with DX. I love them. They're my favorites of all time, separately as individual single competitors for everything that they did. I mean, it's just Shawn Michaels. I could talk about that guy. I mean, the athleticism, his charisma, the way he was able to get under people's skin. I loved him in the 90s when he was off his saber tooth. Oh, I loved what he did with, there's so many things that speak to that come to my mind. The night after the match with Taker, and Taker's music hits, and then Taker drops down into the ring, and then he starts stripping off Taker's gear, and then they burn it on the grill, and they have a hot dog cooking, session right there. I mean, Shawn Michaels was just absolutely one of the greatest ever. And the other one would be Triple H. And it's just, I know a lot of people hate him. Know why a lot of people hate him. I don't care. I don't think he got to the top. I don't think he slept his way to the top. I think the dude would have still made it without it. He had 2 title runs before they even started dating. I mean, the guy eats, sleeps, and breathed everything that had to do with that. And, he's an awesome in the ring. Dude, looked great.
Overrated.
Yeah, well.
Overrated.
He'll whoop Jimmy King's ass any day, I promise you. So those are my 2 favorites of all time, and there's no way to choose between them. Don't be just throwing pictures up there and ruining. Don't be throwing pictures up there ruining my finish. You can throw the Shawn Michaels one up too if you want to. It's there.
Oh.
Bam.
He was tiny there.
That was when he was in good shape though. All right, last one. Biggest, and it's late, Nick. I'm gonna get one more in, and there's a reason. Biggest oh shit moment, or holy shit moment. Excuse me. That's what they always chant.
Oh, I know exactly what mine is. Undertaker throwing Mankind off the Hell in a Cell. I'll remember that to the day I die. I remember seeing it live on pay-per-view with my cousins. We went over because they used to rent pay-per-views. Well, they didn't rent. They had a satellite box that we could get pay-per-view on. And so we used to go over there and watch pay-per-views at their house. And I'll never forget watching that match. It just burned in my brain. And then to see him climb up the cage and go through the cage again, to me, that was like the biggest one in my mind ever. Still sticks out.
Did that get you more than when he fell through the cell?
I think initially just because I didn't expect it the first time, and then the second time was just
I guess you were already like so ramped up, like it was just But absolutely, man, absolutely. He says like literally he can't have a conversation with anybody without that coming up. But I mean, I think that's got to be on anybody's list at least number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Justin,
I mentioned it earlier. The Edge return.
Okay, yeah. And Nick, we know Jimmy King coming back to win the title.
No, actually, the biggest oh crap moment was whenever this guy showed up. I mean, come on.
Oh my
God. What is this thing?
That gimmick did not work.
No, it was horrible.
Neither did this one.
Viscera was pretty cool, man. Viscera got a
I like
more than Big Man did.
I like Big Daddy V.
Yeah,
but this one was the greatest.
King Mabel, I didn't care for too much, but yeah, Viscera, Big Daddy V, yeah. That was a big man, like all around, tall, big. That dude was the mastodon for real.
Yeah.
So mine is a personal one. I was at Monday Night Raw with my wife the first time we went, and there was a tag team match going on. I don't remember who was in it, except Shawn Michaels was in it. And I was 2 rows back from Jim Ross and King. And for some reason, like after Shawn Michaels came out, the match had just got started, and it was really, really quiet. And a grown man, grown as hell, all right, marked out loud, real loud enough that Shawn Michaels heard me and turned around, and I'm sitting there going, "You're the man, you're the man." And he pointed at me, and I had it on my freaking Comcast box recorded, and I had a picture of it and everything. So for me, like that was the most holy shit moment ever. Shawn Michaels turned around and pointed at me. That was all. His finger pointed at me. That was it. But that was the greatest thing ever for me, man. But if we're talking like an actual wrestling match moment, it would probably either be the Hell in the Cell or Rock and Mankind at the Royal Rumble, and Rock just hammering Mick Foley with that chair over and over with his hands behind his back. And I watched, my wife actually watched an interview where Mick was talking about that, and his children and wife watching that in complete terror ringside, and had to get up and leave. And I mean, if you saw the gushing blood and the deep cut put on his head, oh my gosh, it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. So those would be my two. Absolutely. So I did have on here, I won't hold you guys much longer. Jericho is absolutely the Renaissance man, no doubt in my mind. The guy has recreated and stuck around and stayed relevant, and oh my God, he's awesome. Do you guys have an idea of who would be on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling, and then we will cut it out and be done?
So are we doing like our own personal Mount Rushmore, or who do we think
Mount Rushmore?
So for me, it's Stone Cold, The Rock, DDP, and Undertaker.
I ain't mad at you at all. Ain't mad at you at all. 2 of the biggest icons ever, the hardest working man in wrestling, and the guy that kept everything together backstage for so long and had one of the greatest streaks ever. That's a pretty good run right there, dude.
Yeah, mine would be like Hogan, Flair, Rock, Stone Cold.
Yeah. I mean, again, and it's hard to just pick. Like, I was looking at Mount Rushmore. I'm like, there's only 4? Like, why didn't they put like 8 of them so that this would be easier? Oh, man. So, how did nobody say Undertaker Street getting broke as not being I mean,
because everybody knew it was going to happen.
I don't think anybody ever thought it would happen, Nick. Actually, I know whenever it happened, I looked like that dude in the crowd. That
Yeah.
dude's forever famous. Like him and the Miz girl are like forever famous for reactions. You remember the Miz girl when he won the title? She was so pissed. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So my Mount Rushmore of wrestling.
Naturally, did you do that?
I did do that. And I know a lot of people might not agree with that, but I got 2 on there that everybody else had, and then I got my 2 guys. So,
well, I think it's sexist you don't have a girl on there.
Well, I did have favorite female in wrestling on here, but somehow we skipped over that. I would say mine's China. So, but yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Those 4 guys, like I said, I grew up in the 90s. I didn't watch anything prior to that. So those were the 4 most important guys to wrestling to me at the time that I watched. And that was just a no-brainer. It was harder for me to crop those pictures and change it to black and white and mount them on there like that than it was to figure out who I was going to use. If I could, I almost put Shawn Michaels, Triple H, but I thought that'd be a little too fanboyish, so I didn't do that.
I think we're all just happy that you didn't put Sabretooth up there.
You know what? That would have been great. I don't know. Bearded Comic Bro says I do have a top girl in there, Triple H.
That's funny.
Oh, let's see what
Lita was a good one.
Lita, yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, do y'all remember like the ECW female wrestlers? Like ECW as a whole was just crazy.
Brock sucks. Lita, top 10 females wrestler list now. Yeah, I don't know, right? AJ Styles return. He could have came back different. Somebody says, do a figure war, hold up a rare figure, see who wins. Still in box, Blue Blazer. I win. I'll have a limited to 50 figures Ric Flair. You could only get from ordering WWE 24/7. Let's see. We got Angle, Hogan, Macho Man, Lesnar. Somebody put Lesnar on there. Cameron's got Lesnar. Man.
Dave Bautista's belly ring deserves to be on there. His belly ring tattoo.
So Gerald just wants to see us fight it out. And he says, everybody pull out a book and do a cover battle. Well, Gerald obviously don't know. Y'all are sitting here with the Hunt heavyweight champion of the covers. And my man, first edition down here is about to be the Hunt Big Boy Book heavyweight champion. So we're about to have double gold on this show.
Oh, don't you go on in a few? Or is that tomorrow?
Next Friday, me and First Edition will both be representing on the Hunt and both be walking out with the titles, no doubt.
Gerald, man, you need to come over. You need to come over to YouTube, Gerald, because there's a whole lot of chats going on that you may not be able to see. So hop on over to the YouTube channel. Just type in Two Brothers Comics. Hit that subscribe button, man, and you'll get to be a part. No, it's not even a plug, but it's just you get to see all of the comments happening. And then while you're doing that, go to where did it go? First Edition Comics link. Go over to his channel.
He asked for
that's sick, man.
I had to shut that off. Somebody put this on Instagram today. I was like, man, I was going to use that as a cover category one day.
Oh, that's awesome. Dragon Ball talk. Dude, I'm all about the Dragon Ball.
we can do that next Friday.
No.
You and I will do the Dragon Ball talk next Friday.
Yeah. Me and First Edition will be over winning gold on the Hunt. Y'all can do the Dragon Ball talk. We'll be doing real man stuff. But yeah, I cannot wait to see your gimmick, dude. Like I know you said you're not doing Scott Hall, and you killed that, by the way. Like I almost thought about doing Scott Hall, but I was like, they got too many MWO guys already. But I'm pumped to see what your gimmick is, man.
Can I guess who it's going to be?
Sure.
It's not
Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus or Kelly Kelly. He's going to show up and have a stripper pole and do the whole thing. Oh, you know who you should do for real? Like no jokes. I think you'd be perfect.
I was thinking about that, but John's already got a king gimmick. So
Hey, Dragon Ball Talk says he's here.
That's what I'm talking about.
I considered several of them, man. I was like, man, it'd be cool. Like if I was in better shape to just go full blown Tatanka, be like just all over the ring, just all over my room in here. I was like, but yeah, I don't really have the body for doing that one. But yeah, I'm pumped to see who you end up doing. Somebody already used HBK, so I couldn't use that. Somebody already used Stone Cold, so I couldn't do that. But I was like, who can I use that can really talk trash and I can get away with talking some trash? Like, oh, dog, of course.
yeah.
Dude, you should be Biggie Shaq. Or emulate him.
He told me to do Hogan. I was like, no, dude, Hogan's your thing. He's like, yeah, but you did really good as Hollywood. I don't know if you saw the video first, Paul, on our YouTube. So Biggie did a giveaway. He wanted everybody to do a video emulating him or Hulk Hogan. So I of course I went all out. I made a t-shirt and it was NWO style, but it was Two Brothers Comics. I bought a freaking bleach white mustache and shaved my beard down enough to where it looked perfect. And I had the music playing, turned it black and gray, playing air guitar on the title. You'll have to go check it out, man.
I gotta see that.
Yeah, it's on.
I got it right here.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, because remember we have it unlisted?
No, it's listed. I fixed it.
When did you list it again?
Not too long ago.
Oh, did you? Because I thought we
pull it up. If they want to see it, man, if they ain't ready, if they
like
got, I ain't
2
trying
seconds long. Let's see.
I know Justin, I don't want to get him in trouble, and I don't know if Paul's tired and ready to go. I've been up since 4, but we're talking wrestling, so that just gets me jacked up. Nick had the music jacked up way too loud in the beginning.
Nice. I like the shirt.
And I had the weight belt on.
Wait till the end.
I like that you're doing it in front of Power Ranger comics.
Yeah.
That's my old setup. Like, that's what I used to sit in front of and do this stuff.
What's up, brothers? So, my main man, my main dude, Mr. Biggie Immortal Shaq, Biggie Shaq Immortal Brother Dude, has reached out to the community of YouTube and
Nick screwed the
looking
music.
for support from all of the brotherhood and all of the immortal Biggie Shaq, Hulkamaniac in the YouTube land, brother. So, dude,
He's Nick, you really messed up.
go on over to Big Brother Biggie Shaq's YouTube channel, brothers. And dudes, what you gotta do is you gotta hit the subscribe button, dudes. And when you do that, you're gonna go over and you're gonna click the bell, dudes, so you don't miss when Biggie Shaq
It's almost
out
over.
on the move, dudes. When he's out looking through those long boxes, when he's picking up the groceries, dudes, when he's hitting the drive-thrus, dudes, you don't want to miss. You don't.
I'm embarrassed for
Second of
you.
it, brothers. So we are going to work together as a community, my dudes. We're going to pull in the brotherhood. We're going to pull in all the immortal Biggie Shaq maniacs, and we're going to get this dude to 600 subscribers, dude.
Oof.
And we're going to do it fast. And Biggie Shaq, what you going to do, brother, when 2BC brothers,
Here it
Brothers
comes.
Comics wins this contest and takes your books from you, brother. And when we do,
Oh
Two
my
Brothers
God.
Comics are going to be the winners of the Biggie Shaq Hulkamaniac video for life, brother. Ah!
Nice.
That was far too many nipples. I'm sure you guys don't want to see that.
Now we're getting rated R.
That was what he asked for. So, of course,
Gerald, I don't know.
I have no. There is no little bit of doing things. No chill, as the kids would say nowadays. I have to go full force with everything. So
Nipples and all.
well, you know, bad thing is I literally went and bought a T-shirt. Went and bought the stuff to make that T-shirt just to rip it in half. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys hanging out so long. I'm so sorry. I told you guys an hour and we went 2 hours and 40 minutes, but
It's all good.
I had absolutely a ball, and it was so fun. Nick, thanks for letting me have this moment to do this on our channel. We did show off some comic books. I would love to have like a regular, like at least once a month or bi-weekly, where we can just kind of maybe set one topic and talk about it for an hour. That's what happened here is I wasn't sure if Nick would allow this again. So I was trying to fit a bunch of stuff so that I could get a quick fix. So,
well, I mean, it is a comic book channel in a comic book niche. Wrestling is not so much comic book-ish.
But we can talk comic books. We can show comic books with wrestlers on it. We can keep it close.
I got a comic book wrestling show I'm starting soon, so you can come on there, join that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm going to be. I think I told you guys about.
Yeah, you did. I thought
so
about a whole channel.
There you go. Yeah, I'm kicking something off soon, so it should be fun.
Awesome. Well, guys in the chat, girls and guys, thank y'all for hanging out. Thanks for participating. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we did. Make sure if you are not, go subscribe to First Edition on YouTube. Hit that bell button. Go follow him on Instagram under the same name. He's doing some really cool stuff with Omnibus, and you're doing some statue stuff too, you said?
I'm going to get a little bit here and there, but not too much.
Yeah.
Not
Go ahead, man. Plug your channel, bro.
Yeah, man. Go check me out. I just uploaded a video on the Ultimates Omnibus. I got a couple other Omnibus coming out next week. Just shot a episode of a new series I'm starting about different artists and following their work in comic books. And so did my first episode with Biggie Shaq. That'll be coming out next week. And it's on Jack Kirby. So go check that out soon, too.
That's gonna be good, man. Couldn't have picked somebody better to start on than Jack Kirby.
Yep.
Justin, you want to plug your YouTube channel, the Two Brothers Comic channel? No, I'm just kidding.
There it is. I thought.
No, check out Justin.
Fine.
Check out Justin Birch on Twitter. He is. What's your Twitter handle again? At Justin Birch, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Don't
And
you
then
do
on
something specific to with comic books? I keep forgetting. Like, don't you have like some kind of comic book job?
Oh yeah, I guess I do work in comics, huh?
he letters things. Look, name on the book.
Those are the books I gotta get those and get Paul a set of those, Justin, so he can read
Yeah,
them.
I'd love to read that. Yeah.
I think Mad Cave is actually letting the first issue or second issue on their website go for free right now. Download. So madcave.studios.com.
All right, guys. So before Nick gets carried away and throws Jimmy King up another freaking time, thanks again for everybody hanging out tonight. Make sure you come back tomorrow night for our regular Saturday Night Babble-on, where we're talking comic books, comic book news, which we have some awesome stuff to talk about. Justin's toy box is going to be off the rails awesome tomorrow.
Sneak peek.
He's never letting me back on one of his wrestling shows.
Justin's got some awesome toys to show us tomorrow in Justin's toy box. And from the looks of it, I think we're going to be doing our top 10 female heroes.
Villains.
That's winning. I haven't checked.
Oh, villains. Top 10 female villains list. So come check out that and see how
it's actually tied.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, top Batman movies and top female villains.
Okay. Regardless, make sure you guys come tune in and see how we screw up this week's top 10 list. Because it always seems to be controversial, and everybody in the chat always has a good time. We have a good time kind of getting them riled up. They have a good time giving us a hard time about it. So it's going to be starting tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, Nick.
Something like that, as long as Justin's good with it.
I'm trying to pre-plan my top 10 female villains.
So 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 Central Time. Make sure you guys come hang out with us. I'll make sure that we have the premiere up in the morning so you can hit that reminder button and you don't miss out on that. Anything else from you guys?
That's it. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're not subscribed to Two Brothers Comics and First Edition, please, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video if you liked it. And as always, collect your way.